HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group station live from the Comcast Business Studios. 97.5, The Fanatic. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, I promise you that the world is not falling because the Phillies lost the series in Boston, but we will get into a discussion about the Phillies offense and their recent struggles. Eagles depth chart. Do you still allow yourself to get excited with on-paper discussion despite knowing that they've won Super Bowl forever in their entire franchise's history? We'll talk about it. John Kincade out today. Connor in for him. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Stars in cities, especially like Philadelphia, they are always on the map, and we should expect more winning out of them.
And we'll go to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I am a believer that your best player, I think there is also a responsibility as the team spokesperson.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Friday morning, Philadelphia. Andrew Salciunas alongside not John Kincade. John out today taking care of some health duties. So I got Mr. Healthy himself, Connor Thomas, next to me. What's up, Mr. Health?
How you doing? I've never been called that in my life.
No, absolutely not. You're probably one of the most unhealthy people I know, but you look great.
Thank you.
You got that going for you.
No problem.
We got Tom Alvord in your seat today. Tommy, good morning.
What's going on, boys? How we doing?
What's going on? So we can have a cordial conversation today where my hair won't be ripped out by the end of the show because John's not here. And I say that with love.
I know what you mean because of how the Phillies lost, and
Exactly.
sometimes losses can be overstated.
Yes, even though we do make it clear that a loss like last night does not mean that they're going to lose the World Series, but then sometimes we get into conversation and we want to pull our hair out by the end of the conversation. So let's start with the Phillies. We got someone on the Eagles that I want to get to later on this segment. But the Phils dropped 2 of 3 to the Red Sox in Boston. Another night where they put together 10 hits. Like the Phils had 10 hits yesterday, but they only scored 3 runs, and the Red Sox scored 9. So the Red Sox win the game. And the Phillies drop a series against the Red Sox. We know that they split their series in London with the Mets. It was a tough way to lose that second game. But this was coming off of a series sweep of a first-place team in the Milwaukee Brewers. It's coming off of a series win against the St. Louis Cardinals, who were actually hot going into the series. And, of course, before that, they dropped 2 of 3 in San Francisco against the Giants and 2 of 3 against the Rockies. So it hasn't been necessarily the smoothest ride over the last 2 weeks, but they're still playing 500 baseball, and their record allows you to play 500 baseball without you panicking. But, of course, people are still panicking.
Yes, they are. And here's the way that I look at it. If you have something that happens with the team that seems to be out of character for the team. We've seen enough Phillies baseball this year to know what they're supposed to look like and what they're capable of looking like. Like, that start to the season was not an anomaly. That's who they are. I then look at what weird has happened with this team over the past, 2 weeks. And they traveled internationally and had 3 days off in 5 days.
Yep.
That's a major change. Baseball players are creatures of habit more than any other sport because you play so often, you play so much. And I just think that they kind of got put in a weird spot going over to London. I don't know off the top of my head. I'll have to look what the Mets have done since coming back.
They're on the verge of losing both series. And last night, even though I don't really listen to broadcasts all that often, I needed to because John was going to be off today. They mentioned it during the broadcast yesterday that the last time, I forget the 2 teams that traveled to London or wherever last year, there was the series in Mexico, right? The 2 teams that traveled last year, they lost their next 2 series when they came back. To your point, creatures of habit.
Right, and that's not all it is. Like, there have been rough performances that I can't blame England for or Major League Baseball for. But
it's a 162-game season. God, they're not going to play 700 baseball from opening day until game 162. Now, you said something that I do believe is inaccurate. You said we've watched enough Phillies games. We may have. I think a lot of people might be jumping on now, right, because it's been such a good year. I talked to somebody, game 1 of the Rocky series, Connor, and this is a true story. I will just not out this person. And they don't work here. They don't work in They don't work in sports media, so they don't have to. No, I talked to somebody because that was Memorial Day weekend that watched their first game all season. They waited till game 1 of the Rockies series to watch their first game all year. And, of course, they lost that game, right? And so he's going, oh, how could they lose to the Rockies? I go, well, dude, I mean, it's baseball. It's not my fault that you decided to watch the first game 50-plus games into the season.
Yeah,
like, that's nobody's fault.
Everybody loses everybody.
Right, but I think that might be the genesis of a lot of people, that they're maybe checking it out for the first time all season long, or they're just always waiting for the other shoe to fall. People rip the media all the time. You guys are always so negative. I think there are still a lot of people at their core that do the Negadelphia thing. I know a lot of people think they moved on from it, that they've been better at it, that they like to more look positively than negatively. But I think people go back to it. They lose last night. I get a tweet from Bobby Cash. Lost 2 out of 3 from Colorado, San Francisco, and Boston. You still think this Phillies team could be the best team ever? I get a tweet from Mario. I will always fear that they will choke come the playoffs like they did last year. A tweet from Dawood. Here we go again, Chunas. Aaron Tobias Harris-Nola. Got a tweet from Pratik. Phillies offense has been lethargic and unclutched for about a month now. When are we ready to talk about it? Like, that was just minutes after they lost yesterday. I get a string of tweets about how this team is struggling or not playing good baseball. And you're right. It's not like they're playing the best of baseball right now, but what they did at the start of the season allows you to have a stretch like this and still have a ridiculous lead over your second-place team in your division.
100%. And there's other things that are not concerning, but you have to look at that are not just, the Phillies can get away with this. I'm not trying to say that there shouldn't be valid questions about the way the Phillies have played for the past, 2-3 weeks. Brandon Marsh going down is really hampered what you can do in the outfield as far as your rotations. I know David Dahl's been really good. He's not going to consistently be that good.
That disrespectful guy. He's David Dahl.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's Weston Wilson.
He'll have his moments.
He's Travis Jankowski. Think about fourth outfielders or guys that have been called. He's Luke Wilson.
Right.
Luke Wilson hit a home run his first at bat, right? Weston Wilson hit a home run his first at bat. David Dahl hit a home run his first at bat. And then guys get figured out, and that's why they've been in the
new
minors.
Outfielders every single game.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
my point is, Marsh has been missing time. You still haven't had Turner. Real Muto goes down. Bohm is slumping. Stott hasn't been totally the guy you expect him to be hitting wise. Castellanos has had a really rough year, and he's actually been good lately.
He has been.
They're just kind of in one of those stretches where their top guys are not at their best, and that happens to every single team in baseball. So it's something to keep an eye on. But it's probably not something that's going to continue over the course of the rest of the season with 90-some games remaining.
I mean, it's amazing. So May 22nd, right? So that was not even a month ago, close to a month ago. Alec Bohm was hitting 330. Today, we wake up, he's hitting 286. That means in the 3 weeks since that date, he's batted 164 during that stretch. He has not been good.
Right.
Am I about to sit here and say, trade for a third baseman? Alec Bohm stinks. He shouldn't be batting in this spot of the order? No, because the guy at one point was leading the league in RBI. Like, it's going to be okay, people.
It is.
But a lot of people are still worried about it. And so that's one of our first things we'd like to talk to you about. It's 610-632-0975. You can call in or text in. It's kind of an open-ended Phillies discussion. If you are worried about something, feel free to voice your frustration, voice your worry, and we will talk about it. And we will have a cordial conversation today where we are not acting like the sky is falling or going to fall. We still think that they are one of the best teams in baseball. I've said that they should be held in the same standard of the Dodgers and Braves. Oh, by the way, they're 9 games up of the Atlanta Braves. So the Phillies are the team that's setting the standard despite their struggles over the last 2 weeks. But the last 2 weeks does not paint the picture of who this Phillies team actually is. So open-ended Phillies discussion. Are you worried? Yes or no? If you are, tell us what you're worried about. I got a tweet last week about Jose Alvarado. I get the Gregory Soto emails every single day that he goes out there. Just take a deep breath, and we'll talk about it. It's kind of like a therapy session where this is a safe space today. Today is a safe space for you to call in and text in about your Phillies concerns, and we'll talk about it. Do I think you are a lunatic? Yes. But you know what? That's why I'm a therapist today, so that I can help you lunatics.
You know what's funny is I haven't seen as much criticism of the team over this stretch over the past couple weeks, but what I have seen is unwarranted criticism of individual players.
That's a great point.
I got the Nick Castellanos tweets again last night from multiple people.
Yep.
Like, why does this guy play every day? What is Thompson doing? He can't sit. He's Cal Ripken now. I was just like, guys, he had a double and a triple like a night ago.
The night
But
before, yeah.
He's been pretty hot lately. Just you can't take out the team losing games on an individual player who's currently playing well just because you don't like the guy.
So what did I say? May 22nd? So since May 22nd, Alec Boehm, who everybody loves and should love, right? Like this is not me. This is not a attack Alec Boehm thing. Alec Boehm since May 22nd has been hitting 164 with an on-base percentage of 208. So it's barely even above 200. So let me do the exact same thing for Nick Castellanos. I'm going to click May 23rd to June 13th. During that stretch, Nick Castellanos is hitting 253 with an on-base of 282. He has 4 more home runs than Alec Boehm. He has 4 more RBI than Alec Boehm. He has,
by the way, the guy
8 more hits than Alec Boehm.
Still hasn't made an error in right field.
Right.
So
we pick and choose. It goes back to our discussion we had the other day. We like who we like. We dislike who we dislike. Nick Castellanos has been a better player over the last 3 weeks than Alec Boehm. But you would think that Nick Castellanos should be sent down in the minors and that it's okay to keep letting Alec Boehm struggle the way that he has been. Guys will hit out of slumps. It's going to happen. That's baseball. So let's have a cordial baseball discussion today. The other thing that we want to get into. So yesterday, we went through this article that Dave Zangaro did on NBC Sports Philadelphia of the 15 Eagles whose stock rose during spring workouts. And I started going through the 15 players, and I got really excited. I didn't even mean to get this excited, but I got excited when I started seeing the names of the defensive backs whose stock rose. Quinyon Mitchell was one of them. Cooper DeJean was one of them. Isaiah Rodgers was one of them. Avonte Maddox was one of them. All of a sudden, I start going, wow, those 4 guys are fighting for jobs, and there are guys that are clear starters ahead of them. All of a sudden, we've depth in the secondary, which I don't know the last time we've actually seen legitimate depth in the secondary. Keely Ringo was another name mentioned. And I wonder, is there more depth than we were even thinking about, number one? But the real question, and I want to ask both of you this, because I know my answer, and I think, Connor, you and I will have the exact same answer. Do you still allow yourself to get excited with on-paper discussion, knowing that except for one time ever, the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl?
Hell yeah.
Same.
Why wouldn't I let my... Here's the thing. The Eagles only having one Super Bowl doesn't mean our evaluation of the talent of previous teams was wrong.
Correct.
Things will go wrong throughout the season. The best team doesn't always win. It just doesn't happen. So you can evaluate the Eagles fairly, and they might still not come out on top. But this is the fun part about looking at an offseason to me, seeing who they signed, seeing the roster. All we can evaluate right now is what we have in front of us, which is the paper depth chart, or I guess now the virtual depth chart. And we can draw conclusions based on that with the understanding that things can change. It's still fun to look at a team. Do you know how many teams in football, like if you're anti this, do you know how many teams in football have a roster they look at right now and their fan base wants to throw up? Like, do you know how many teams know they don't have a chance right now? You can look at one position for half the teams in football, quarterback, and know that you have no earthly chance of competing for a championship. And we're going to worry about what? The Eagles having a talented roster, but maybe something goes wrong? No, I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, look at teams like Seattle who have a lot of offensive talent. Respectfully, Geno Smith's never going to win a Super Bowl.
You write him off, he's not going to write back.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they gave Baker Mayfield a lot of money. And I know he puts up numbers, but does Baker Mayfield scream Super Bowl winning quarterback to you?
Nah, he sounds like a good first-round playoff quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Good enough to beat a team that was in shambles with a 1-6 stretch going into the playoffs. The Eagles, we think, have that with Jalen Hurts, where they do have a good quarterback that can legitimately win, and then you look at the rest of the roster. But we're so focused on how good this offense is. I started looking at that defense yesterday, and I pulled up the ESPN.com depth chart. I think it's wrong. They have Darius Slay as the starting, outside corner, which is accurate. The other one is Quinyon Mitchell. He's right now running with the 2s. They have Keely Ringo 4th string on this depth chart. He might legitimately be your 1.
I would bet right now that Quinyon Mitchell is your starter on the outside opposite Darius Slay. I would.
It's an interesting bet to make, man.
I just have a feel listen, he was their guy. He was the top corner on the board.
Right.
Normally, if you get the top player at a position that you want in the first round, that guy's starting for you.
Okay.
Unless you have a great player ahead of him. And I like Keely Ringo, but Keely Ringo's not exactly a great proven starter.
Right, I got you.
So I would bet that
But you take him
Mitchell's
as
the
a
guy.
backup. You take him as your second string
For
corner.
sure. And
So-
I'd take him as a starter. I'm just saying I think they're probably going to give Mitchell the look.
So let's say it's Darius Slay, Quinyon Mitchell, your outside corners. We lock that in stone, right?
Okay.
Cooper DeJean, I guess we're going to go with your slot. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's your safety. And then Reed Blankenship gets the job because Sidney Brown is hurt, and we'll see what ends up happening with James Bradbury. But you do have Sidney Brown in the waiting, who I think he still needs to learn how to tackle in the NFL, but you saw the athleticism in him. All I'm saying is, bottom line, I look at the depth chart and I go, damn, this is a good freaking football team.
Yeah.
So I ask you, do you still allow yourself to get excited or overly excited when it comes to the on-paper discussion? The exact same discussion we had probably this time last year, and we saw the collapse that happened. Tom Alvord, good morning.
Hello.
Do you still allow on-paper discussion to allow you to get maybe overly excited despite knowing they've only won one Super Bowl in franchise history? To Connor's point, only one team wins every single year. But, man, I can't help myself. I look at this team, I go, this is better than last year.
Yeah, because I always look back to, like, the bad times with our teams. Like, right now we're complaining about the Philadelphia Phillies. Not us here, but, like, people are complaining about the Philadelphia Phillies. I just can't help but look back to those teams in 2018 when Odubel Herrera was my, cleanup guy for a long period of time. When it comes to the Eagles wide receiver core or cornerback core, like, I've seen some bad cornerbacks, bad wide receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm not going to get myself excited about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, all the corners that you mentioned. So when it comes to the on-paper thing, I think you do have to take it with a grain of salt because, as you mentioned, last year we were having these same conversations. Oh, the defense just has to keep them in games. They're going to score 35 points a game adding DeAndre Swift to this offense. Doesn't always work like that. So you do have to take it with a bit of grain of salt. When it comes to that position in particular, man, there's a ton of talent on that group, and it's a ton of young talent, which we haven't had here in so long. And that's the reason I'm getting so excited about that question in particular.
And look, there's going to be growing pains early on in the season. I think we should expect that. Like, I thought John made a good point the other day when he talked about the first 2 weeks in the schedule might be more difficult than what a lot of people are expecting. Now, I have them splitting. I have them losing in Green Bay in week 1.
Agreed.
It's June 14th. I could change my tune come week 1, but right now I have them losing to the Packers, and part of it is because of what John pointed out. You have a very young secondary. You have a new defensive coordinator. You're leaving the country to go play. Now, the same thing goes for the Packers. So the Eagles, if the Eagles win, I'm not going to be shocked. We do the fun W's and L's. I have them losing week. Well, you have to throw in a couple losses here and there.
Yeah, just to mix it
They're
up.
not going 17-0 and making a run through the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl. There's going to be losses during the regular season. This team will not be perfect. And I think that might be a tough start to the season with that team that they're going up against with the Green Bay Packers. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't sit back and go, damn, this secondary with experience as the season goes on, this secondary should be so much better than last year.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but the archetype for this kind of secondary is what Kansas City has done the past 2 years. And Kansas City did not start off like red hot each of the last 2 seasons because you have young defensive backs, you have some young wide receivers, you move on from Tyreek Hill. Like, they had to rebuild stuff, and they trusted the roster, and they trusted the talent, and trusted that they had time to figure it out. Now, you don't have a lot of time in the NFL, but
No.
that's proven that you can learn on the fly and win. Now, a big part of that is their quarterback's unstoppable. But that's what the Eagles are going to have to do this year. They're going to have guys that are in big spots that learn on the fly. And we're going to have to be slightly patient with that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So here's what we're going to do. You can climb in on the text line, or you can call in at 610-632-0975. We want to have a cordial Phillies discussion. If you have concerns about this team, I might think you're a lunatic, but I will not scream at you. We will have a cordial conversation. If you think everything is fine, there is nothing to be worried about, that's beautiful. Tell us why you think there's nothing to be worried about. Tell us why you think everything's beautiful, because I will open this up coming up next. I wonder how itchy people will get when it comes to the catcher position if there continues to be a slide. So far, post JT Realmuto injury announcement, they are 1-2. I know it's only been 3 games, but we know the concerns of Garrett Stubbs and Rafael Marchand. So coming up next, we'll get into this cordial conversation. When will you start to get itchy about the catcher position, knowing that JT Realmuto will be out a month, knowing that there is a major fall off from Realmuto to Stubbs/Marchand, and if they start losing, if the pitching staff doesn't look good, because that's a big part of the catcher position yet as well. Aaron Nola gives up 8 earned runs yesterday. Is that because of Garrett Stubbs? Probably not, but it's something that people are going to harp on, and so let's open that up coming up next. But open-ended Phillies discussion, cordial discussion, therapy session when it comes to the Phillies, because I think there are way too many people panicking because they lost a series to the Boston Red Sox. Also, when it comes to the Eagles depth chart, do you still allow yourself to get excited despite knowing that every single year they don't win the Super Bowl, except for one? And that's okay. You're allowed to have fun. We're fans. We're supposed to have fun with it. But I also know that sometimes people tell me to settle down when I get overly excited. So let's discuss it. 610-632-0975. It is a Fanatic Friday. We have questions out of the hat today. We have a lot in store for you. It's Kincade and Salciunas. John out today. John, take care of yourself, man. Connor in his seat today. Tom Alford producing the show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
6 a.m. sponsor.
Kincade Salciunas is Bradford White.
Come on, Connor.
Bradford White is here for the pro.
Connor, what's wrong with you? It is 6:28 on Kincade Salciunas on this beautiful Friday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic. We open up the Phillies, or we open up the show with a cordial Phillies discussion. If you have concerns, feel free to let us know. I just know that this conversation could be a little bit more level-headed today. And that is not a shot at John. It's just how John and I operate. John and I yell and scream at each other on a daily basis, respectfully, of course, when it comes to some sports angles. And after last night's loss, which, let's face it, was a bad game. Aaron Nola got destroyed. The bats could not find ways to drive in runs. Yesterday was a bad game for the Philadelphia Phillies. Was yesterday a telltale sign of what will happen in the playoffs? Absolutely not. It's freaking June 14th.
Dude, last night was the first game for like 2 months where I was like, oh, this team stunk tonight.
Right.
Like they did not have a chance in this game.
Well, and then it stinks. They're down 4-0. They score 3 in the top of the fourth, and then the Red Sox come back and score 4 in the bottom half. And that's that was what Taijuan Walker did 2 starts ago, right?
Also, can we stop blowing fastballs down the middle as not strike calls? Like, I am not a robot ump guy. We can't miss them.
Yeah, it was a miss. And then what? They end up scoring 3 runs after that? Or do they score all 4 after that?
Actually, all 4. Should have been out. Well, it wasn't strike 3, so who knows what could have happened. But
it was
it's a totally different at bat.
4. Right, exactly. So, cordial Phillies conversation. Eagles depth chart discussion from a fandom perspective. Do you still allow yourself to get excited about on-paper depth charts, knowing that it doesn't always amount to a Super Bowl, and it's only been 1 in Eagles franchise history? And every single year we talk ourselves up, we overvalue guys, and we get excited for people. And I think that's what we're supposed to do as fans. But I wonder, when I see the depth chart yesterday, that was an organic reaction that you got out of me around 9:30 yesterday. I'm reading the defensive backs who had their stocks rise, according to Dave Zangaro yesterday in the story. And I'm going, damn, wait a minute. Is this secondary all of a sudden going to be good? And that's probably an overreaction. But I can't help myself. I'd rather be happy and excited. I know people think of radio hosts as always being negative. Trust me, I would rather be happy and excited on a daily basis.
You know what the Philadelphia Eagles are right now is they're Brendan Gunn. We talked about his parlay that he has of all the champions.
Oh, we'll get to it.
You might say, oh, well, there's no guarantees in that, but you start to see the chips fall, and you're like, okay, this
makes sense.
Yeah, it starts to play out where you're like, oh, we could have something here. It's not a guarantee.
Right.
You have questions about rookies. You have questions about a guy who hasn't played in a year because he gambled. But
right.
The talent level is there. The opportunity is there. That's all we have to go on right now. So, yeah, hell yeah, we're going to be excited.
Well, I wonder if there are people that will keep themselves grounded. Tom says grain of salt, right? So I want to know how many people are going to keep themselves grounded. You could text in, call in 610-632-0975. I know we have texts coming in, so we'll get to that in a second. I want to bring up this catcher conversation, but our man Joe, it's only Joe on Twitter, who I know is a great baseball mind. He did not tag us. I just saw it on the timeline. He tweeted this out at 5:39 this morning, so 21 minutes before the show started. Lineup questions. Pitching is suspect after a break. No closer. Can't manufacture. Everyone is going to play outfield. Everything's going well. Kind of like the everything is fine dog gif.
Yeah.
And Joe is a great baseball mind, and I don't think Joe is somebody that overreacts. But he sees stuff that's bothering him right now. And I get what he's saying. There is always, like last night when the lineup came out, everybody had the same reaction of, this is a disgusting-looking lineup. But then I can say, well, Trey Turner will be back soon. Brandon Marsh will be back soon. And, of course, JT Realmuto's out. That's why this lineup looks disgusting. Pitching is suspect after a break. How many times have we said that the pitching staff would not maintain ERAs of 2 or below, which is what a couple of the guys in the rotation have done? No closer. I think that's just a Rob Thompson managerial decision, but you believe in Jose Alvarado and Jeff Hoffman every time they get on the mound. Can't manufacture. Before this stretch, how many times have I pointed out their batting averages with runners in scoring position?
Yeah, they've been really good.
They were manufacturing. Everyone is going to play the outfield. Yeah, the inconsistency in the lineup can do that to you when you're platooning Brandon Marsh when he's healthy. But it worked before he got hurt.
Right. This is where I'm going to have major contention with anyone who has a problem with this stretch. You can tell me a lot of things that they're not doing right now, and I will very largely agree with you. But when you tell me they can't do it, that's where you're wrong. Like, this team is capable of doing everything they need to do to be an outstanding baseball team. Just because they're not doing it right now doesn't mean they can't do it.
Right.
Right? Like, so I understand the sentiment. I don't think it's Joe, right? I don't think Joe, who tweeted in, is wrong on some of those accounts with what we've seen over the past couple weeks, but they're capable of doing these things. They're not doing them right now. And the much larger sample size is the first 2.5 months of the season where they were outstanding. So I'm still fine with them. I understand some concerns right now. We'll see if they come out of it.
Like, all right, so here's an update with the runners in scoring position for those who qualify, because there's only 6 players. Bryce Harper's hitting .390 with runners in scoring position. That's down from what was like .425.
Still pretty good.
Okay. Bryson Stott is .341. Alec Boehm is .338. That's down from like .670. Like, it was like so. I mean, that guy was just driving in runs all the time. You expected at some point for those numbers to go down. Schwarber's just .273. Castellanos .254. Real Muto actually horrible with runners in scoring position this year, batting .174. But like, you have guys that are driving in runs. It's just everybody's kind of on a bit of a downtick right now because they were playing at such a high level that at some point they were going to come back down to earth. That is baseball. So I'm not going to freak out. As Tom puts up on the screen, the Phillies as a team are 3rd in Major League Baseball with runners in scoring position. So you can't tell me they don't manufacture runs when you are a top 3 team with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, factually inaccurate. And I understand why you feel that way. Maybe, like, you could say
in this stretch,
they haven't recently. But what happens is we get caught up in, like, even if you consume baseball in 2-week stretches, like I think you should, you get caught up in the current 2-week stretch and assume that's what the team is. And we have to account for all of it. It's not just looking forward at what could happen. It's looking back at what they have done and understanding this team didn't just forget how to do that. Like, some guys are hurt. They'll come back. There's no season-ending injuries yet.
Right.
Knock on wood multiple times, but they're fine.
Now, we'll get to injuries in a second, but Joe has DM'd me. There is no font for sarcasm.
Oh.
So he was being sarcastic. He said he was mocking those who are overreacting. They'll be fine. See, I knew he was. I told you, great baseball mind.
That's right, Joe.
I did say, correct, great baseball mind. That's a great baseball mind right there. All right, so speaking of injuries. So JT Realmuto out for at least a month. We know this. We talked about this when it first happened. We reacted to it. When was that? It would have been Wednesday morning we reacted to it. And we got into the what do they do discussion. So I said, as my witness, Connor, you were producing the show that day.
Oh, I don't listen.
Thank you. I'm always looking to improve my team. Even when we do trade deadline discussion, they could be undefeated. I will still look to find a way to improve my team. I was not going to go out of my way to try to sell higher prospects for a backup catcher because ultimately they're going to be a backup, right? It's an Andre Drummond situation where you're bringing a guy that you feel comfortable that will start, but let's face it, once Realmuto comes back, once Embiid comes back, that guy's sitting on the bench and is not playing all that much. So I would not overpay for a backup catcher to eventually sit on the pine when JT Realmuto comes back. I wonder, again, this is a cordial conversation, how itchy do people get if they continue to slide?
Itchier than they should be. Because the thing you have to remember is the ultimate goal. You're absolutely right in this is a backup catcher you'd be acquiring. As soon as JT Realmuto is available, he's going to play, and he's going to play a significant amount of games the rest of the way once he's healthy. Second half is what I'm assuming, because the All-Star break is kind of the focus. But the idea of going out and getting a catcher to fill this slot while JT is hurt is surviving the time that you don't have Realmuto. With the lead that you have in division, and the quality of team you still have, and Trey Turner coming back, and this pitching staff is still going to be very, very good, even if they have blips on the radar, you don't really need any help to survive it, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to get to the All-Star break and say, what in the world happened to this Phillies team? It might be a smaller margin, but is that enough worry to go out and trade for somebody who's going to cost you more than they should, because every team in baseball knows that you're going to start looking.
Right. You're going to have to overpay compared to another team that would have to pay for, I mentioned Martin Maldonado. Who that's not even, I'm not screaming for him to be on this team because he can't hit. He quite literally cannot hit a baseball, but he's a better defensive catcher than both Stubbs and Marchand, even though Dave Dombrowski says he feels comfortable with those two guys defensively. But if there is a guy that's out there that you can bring in that can at least provide a little bit of pop to your lineup, you're gonna have to pay extra money.
Yeah.
Now I'm always looking, right? Like if the news dropped today that the Phillies made a trade for blank catcher who's a starter for a team that will eventually be a backup to JT Realmuto, I'm not gonna cry for Garrett Stubbs. No. I'm not gonna cry for Rafael Marchand, who finally got a shot because he's been blocked, and then he comes up and doesn't really do much because he looks like he might be a 4A player.
Now, one game. We'll see what
I know,
but
he looks like a 4A player. He's had opportunities in the past. He's just always hurt.
Right.
And that's the other thing. I'm now depending on my backup catcher to remain healthy, who is not usually healthy.
I get it. I get what you're saying. And the other thing you need to consider in all this is this the worst situation that you need to improve? Because I know you're a big outfield have to get better guy.
Yeah, no, this is not the top one for me.
Because you clearly have a time where you're going to get better at catcher. JT Realmuto will play again this year.
Yes.
The outfield doesn't have any help coming. It's not like there's an all-star left fielder that's, and I love Brandon Marsh, but there's not a top tier outfielder that's coming back from something or joining the team. So at the deadline, if you want to add to the outfield, it may be a crossover between the assets you would give up for catcher now and the assets you would trade for an outfielder then. I know there's a lot of prospects, but you want to leave as much in the holster until you make the trades that will help your team most. So if you want a catcher, you might be giving up the opportunity to get a better outfielder.
Tom, what was your reaction when JT Realmuto went down? He got the news that he'd be out for over a month. Connor and John were very stand pat. I am stand pat because of the 10-game lead. If they were only up 2 games to the Braves and they were scuffling, they weren't playing at a franchise historic clip, I probably would have been more aggressive. I'm okay with being patient, but I just wonder, I'm asking from a fan base perspective, if they continue to lose, how itchy do people get? But what was your immediate reaction when you got the news?
Immediate reaction was, please don't be season ending. That was my immediate reaction. Yeah. Then you find out it's a month, and you're like, just a month? I was expecting 2 months, honestly, when you first kind of read into it a little bit more. And my reaction when it came to how they handled the backup catcher position is just kind of, let's see what happens here. You have time with Garrett Stubbs. You have time for Rafael Marchand to show something. And if they don't show you anything, hopefully JT's back by that time. Like, it'll be 30 games when he got injured. It was 30 games until the All-Star break. Then they'll get that week off. So JT's set to miss 30 games here. I'm fine with running with Marchand and Stubbs for 30 games. Now, look, you get 20 games in, 15 games in, and they're really struggling.
They're 5-15.
Yeah, where they're batting under 100 like Martín Maldonado. Then maybe you think about making a move. But to me, I'm content with it. You should get enough resources back. And with Trey Turner coming back, Brandon Marsh coming back, maybe they make a trade before the deadline, not for a catcher, but for the outfield.
Right.
I'm content with where they are right now. So I can't freak out about this team that is the best team in the NL by 5 games.
All right, it is a cordial Phillies discussion Friday. You can climb in on the text line or phone line 610-632-0975. Also, our Eagles discussion. Do you allow yourself to get excited with the on-paper discussion? I do. I can't help myself. I'm going to overvalue and get overly excited for guys that I've not seen play on the field yet. And even guys that I have seen play, I've never seen Darius Slay play alongside Cooper DeJean, right? Communication's a pretty big deal. We don't really think about that kind of stuff, nor should we, right, until the season actually starts. But I'm excited about what I'm seeing out of the depth chart in the secondary, which is something I was definitely not excited for last year. You can text in, call in 610-632-0975. We get to some reaction coming up next. Also, our first question out of the random topics out of the hat. It's Kincade and Salciunas. John out today, Connor in for him right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The Phillies are on the road this week with big series against the American League.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this Fanatic Payday Friday, Connor.
That's true.
It's always easier to wake up on the Friday morning when the cash hits the bank account.
I need it. I'm going to the Outer Banks.
Yeah, dude, you got a busy. I feel bad for you, man.
Yeah, long drive, a lot of issues, planning stuff. It's okay. It's going to be a fun trip.
Joint bachelorette party, Tommy.
With like 20 people.
My fiance recommended doing the same thing for ours.
And your response?
I'm all right. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, look, if she really wanted to, sure, but it's just more stress that I don't need.
How'd that go over?
I haven't said it to her yet, but yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
Look, I know that back in the day, like bachelor parties were probably a lot more wild than they are nowadays,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? And it might be a good thing for society. Who knows? I didn't do anything like bad. I didn't cheat on my fiance.
That's good.
I didn't like do anything that would put me in prison for months.
Right.
But I did stupid stuff that I didn't want to get judged for.
That's the thing.
That's it.
We're not going to the strip club. My brother's low-key. We're going fishing and we're going golfing. But if we want to sit on the couch and play video games for 6 hours with our shirts off,
And that's basically what we did.
and there's 10 girls wandering around the house, they're going to call us losers.
At one point, it was 3 a.m, and we were walking back. We did Ocean City, Maryland, so we were
Yeah.
walking back from Secrets. And I was just obliterated.
That's what Secrets does to you, baby.
And we're crossing over like this little bridge toward where our house was that we rented out. And I just got on the top of the bridge and jumped off into the water.
Yeah.
And I know if Christy was there, it would have been, "Why you doing?" Instead, my boys were like, idiot.
And let's clear
And
this up.
that's it. Like, that,
Christy's reaction is the right one.
yes.
But
I don't want the right reaction on my
Exactly.
bachelor party, all right?
Correct.
Like, that's all. Like,
It'll be
I
fine.
wanted to do stupid stuff. All right, what do we have on the text line, Tom? And then we got to pull our first random question out of the hat. But what do you have coming in on the text line about our Phillies and Eagles?
Yeah, we got a couple Birds, couple Phillies. We have Chris in Morrisville. The thing is, the most intriguing thing about this depth chart is this in the secondary is the versatility. You're hearing reports about different young guys playing safety or slot corner. I'm excited and hopeful to see some sort of almost hybrid defense, maybe 3 safeties. I also think it'll help hide the lack of talent at linebacker as well.
It could. I mean, linebacker's still going to be obviously a concern. When I went through that Dave Zangaro piece yesterday, the guys that stocks rose was Zach Bond and Devin White, and Nakobe Dean was not mentioned.
That's a
Right?
problem.
And, like, he's a guy whose stock needs to rise, and it already seems like he's probably one of your starting linebackers, and that is concerning. But, yes, like, there isn't – like, Vic Fangio can be creative with this defense. I still go back to when Chauncey Gardner-Johnson re-signed with the Eagles. It was safety/nickel corner, right? Like, there are going to be times where he can play up in the box and Cooper DeJean can actually play safety instead of being in the slot. James Bradbury, the fact that they feel comfortable, and it might just be to try to find a spot to put him on the field because he's getting paid a decent contract. The fact that they feel comfortable moving him into the safety spot, at least during camp, to see what he's got. But we saw him play nickel corner last year, and actually pretty well. He played nickel corner against the Buccaneers in Week 3 when Maddox got hurt,
Right.
and he had to go up against Godwin. And he played very well against them that game. He shut him down. So you have options. There's really only, in terms of your secondary, Darius Slay is the only guy that's like, all right, he's got to be on one side.
Yeah.
Right? And it's because he's earned that right because of how well he's played. And then Quinyon Mitchell, you'll probably do the same thing with him at some point.
But the versatility, it's underrated, and we don't really think about it until you see those guys thrust into those positions. But this is the time of year where you figure that out. So when
Right.
someone goes down, you know who goes where.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, so much is focused on the offense, the sexier side of the ball, and their team is built with that in mind, how good that offense is. But I can't help when we go through that list of names yesterday and I see, oh my God, look at the amount of players on defense that they have in the secondary that I feel somewhat comfortable with without seeing them play yet. I can't help myself but get excited.
You got a little excited. Nothing wrong with that.
It was an honest reaction. All right, what do we have on the Phillies? And then we'll pull our first random question out of the hat.
Yeah, we got Nick in Telford.
Hello, Nick.
I really try not to be the guy who calls this out and pins the outcome of a game on an ump's decision, but I think last night it would have been very different if Nola didn't have that last walk called on a clear strike. It changed the entire game. Overall, I'm not worried. It's a long season. They'll round back into form.
It was a horrible call.
Yes.
The next pitch could have been blasted over the Green Monster.
Right.
We don't know whether or not the umpire's one call. Yesterday to me was not Sixers Knicks. where there were like 17 calls that I pointed out as to why they lost that game, especially in the final like 90 seconds of a game. That one missed call in a game, by the way, where they lost 9-3.
And Nola gave up, what, like 12 hits?
11 hits yesterday.
Yeah,
3 2/3. Like,
it's just miserable.
I can't blame the ump for yesterday.
We could blame the ump for the call,
Yes.
but not for the game.
No, not for the game.
Yes.
All right, Tommy, give us our first question of the hat. This is something that we've been doing the last couple of weeks. It'll be a staple on Fridays moving forward up until football season when it's time to get more serious. But we have a bunch of random questions that we pull out of our Wawa hat. So what do we got, Tommy?
All right, number one on the day. Proudest you have ever felt about yourself?
Oh, this was one of my questions.
It is.
I would like you guys to answer. I want you guys to have the opportunity to pump your chest out a little bit.
The proudest I've ever felt about myself was
We're so degrading of ourselves all the time. That's kind of why we do this for a living. You have to be degrading yourself. I want to give you guys the opportunity to talk yourselves up a little bit.
thank you, because I do not do enough of talking myself up.
Yeah,
So
you
the
don't.
proudest I've ever been of myself, college graduation, honestly. I was a double major. I had to do a bunch of like comp tests and a whole thesis paper and everything. It was a lot of work my senior year, and I wasn't going to Harvard, but getting that done and knowing that I completed that level of schooling, I felt like I made it all worth it by graduating. So I was very proud that I accomplished
That's good. Tom?
Probably doing this, like whether it's a first show producing, but getting to this point, something that I've strived to do for pretty much my entire life, and having the realization of, I'm actually talking on the radio currently right now to Philadelphia talking about sports. Just, I don't know when that moment happened, but that sort of moment where, hey, I get to do something really cool for a living that I've wanted to do.
I'm pretty much both of your answers. It's balancing this and school, because I was a sophomore when I started here, right? And I was able to do classes and like I was here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I did the 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. classes Tuesdays and Thursdays for 4 semesters, all of junior year, all of senior year. So there you go. Look at that. Positivity.
Yeah,
The rest,
on Friday.
the rest of the questions are going to rip us and all that kind of stuff, but I figured I'd throw one into the hat, and that one's gone. We're never going back to that question.
Yeah, I'll never say anything nice about myself again. I'll never talk myself up.
Exactly.
You can count on it.
Exactly. All right, so coming up next, we reset the entire show, and we got some great news yesterday for the Eagles. I'm stunned by it. I'm thrilled by it. It also confirms a belief of mine, but great news for the Eagles yesterday. I'll tell you what that is coming up next. And more of your texts and calls. You can climb in 610-632-0975. It is the same number to call in or text in. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Connor in for John today on this Fanatic Friday right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Lopsided loss?
The Fanatic. John out today, taking care of some health stuff. So we're wishing John nothing but the best. Connor filling in for John today. Tom Alvord in Connor's seat today. And our man Brendan Gunn is in Boston right now.
He's not happy.
And we're going to have to talk about Brendan at some point during the show. If you missed it the other day, he had a all-time championship winner parlay going. And it looked like it was going well until Edmonton trailed 3-0 after that loss yesterday. And oh, by the way, he's in Boston for the Phillies game last night in which they lost 9-3. And oh, by the way, he's still there for what could be the weekend where the Celtics sweep the Mavericks. And he has to watch Boston Celtics fans celebrate. Rough spot to be in if you're B Gun.
Yeah, you thought my vacation was a struggle. That's going to be a tough one for him.
Yeah, that one's
way.
a lot worse than the joint bachelorette party. Absolutely. All right, so here's what we got on the docket today, and we'll get to some text coming up in a second. You can text the show, call in 610-632-0975, and I'm going to tell you around 7:10 the great news we got for the Eagles yesterday. The shocking great news that we got for the Eagles yesterday. I'll tell you that in a couple of minutes. But we open up the show talking about the Phillies and their series loss to the Boston Red Sox. And what I wanted to do today was have a cordial Phillies discussion. If you are worried about something, there's something that's been bothering you about this team, feel free to let us know. I think there are a lot of people that have been hesitant to point out frustrations because they've been so good, because they're 46-22. There's also some people that haven't been hesitant and they've been over the top. Like the hatred for Nick Castellanos, I get it. He is not playing well. He's not playing up to his contract this year. He didn't necessarily play up to his contract in year one. He did last year. And so I would like to give this guy time to turn things around. Not everybody is going to start off the season like Alec Boehm did, hitting 380. Some guys might start off the season hitting 200 and then balloon that batting average up to 250 to 260 as the season goes on. I get why people were concerned about Nick Castellanos or annoyed with Nick Castellanos. I just wasn't ready to start saying, get this guy out of town. But I do know a lot of people were probably hesitant to complain about the Phillies because of how good they've been doing. So if there is something that you've been concerned about, we're having a cordial Phillies discussion today.
Nothing wrong with that. And what I will say is if you're looking at a guy like Nick Castellanos or looking at this team, if you're one of the overly critical people and you end up being proven correct, there will be clear instances for you to voice that frustration. The time to do it is not when the guy goes like 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs like he did the other night. Like it's not, you got to pick and choose your spots if you're going to be critical about a team this good. And my biggest beef with the fan base and people who are overly critical is you're just not doing it at the right time.
Right. And one of my biggest beefs, and this is sports in general, this is not Philadelphia, is keeping the same energy.
Yeah.
I remember I had a whole show on keeping the same energy with Joel Embiid. And it was after the scoring the 70 points, right? We rip that guy till no end when he comes up small. But when he does something historic, there are people that don't even want to give him his flowers.
Exactly.
Castellanos, to your point 2 nights ago, goes 2 for 4, has a double and a triple. And I did not see much, hey, good game Castellanos tweets. Last night he goes 1 for 5, strikes out twice. It's, oh my God, this guy stinks. You don't have to always give the guy a bouquet, but at least give him one, like give him a stem. Just say like, hey, good game. Like you've been disappointing me this year. How about you say good game instead of saying, well, this is what he should be doing.
I will never understand the inability to be objective. Like there are players I like and don't like. But if a player I don't like has a great game
that benefits the team that you love,
I'm gonna say it. Like I don't understand why people refuse to give credit or sometimes refuse to give blame the players for certain reasons. Just try and be objective,
anytime
people.
Johan Rojas, and I don't dislike Johan Rojas, I just would rather have a better center fielder, but anytime he's a good game, I celebrate it.
Yeah.
Because it helps my team.
We're rooting for the Phillies.
Right,
they
exactly.
play for the Phillies. It's not that complicated. Nick Castellanos
really
playing well
isn't.
helps you.
Right, exactly. So, cordial Phillies discussion. So let me ask you this. Because you are Mr. Positive.
That's true.
Especially with this team, and it's logical positivity because they're 46-22. Has there been something that has been slightly bothering you as the season's gone on through 68 games now that you've maybe kept to yourself or you haven't really addressed because sometimes when it comes to Phillies discussion on this show, it gets a little overblown? Has there been something that's been bothering you? You followed this team inside and out where you go, all right, that can improve. I just haven't really freaked out yet.
Yeah, there is, because I look at the Dodgers' ceiling offensively. I look at maybe not the Braves anymore. The Braves are struggling. But I look at the Yankees' ceiling offensively, like these other top-tier teams in baseball. And the Phillies, over the past month or so, I have had this inkling that the offense is not as productive as it probably should be. Even with the injuries, even like no Trey Turner, now no JT, no Brandon Marsh for a little bit, some guys slumping. Like, I think they have more in the tank, and I'm at the point where I'm getting a little bit impatient to see them like hang 10 on somebody again,
right?
Hang 11 on somebody, because I know they're capable of doing that, and they've played some teams that they should have been capable of doing that too. So if there is a concern, it's that I think there's more offensively for this team, and I don't think we've seen it as consistently as we could have based on the talent.
Yeah, so the Phillies, let's see, have scored more than 5 runs or more just twice since June 1st. So in 2 weeks, 5, and not 10, not 11, 5 runs or more. It's been 2 weeks where they've only scored 5 runs or more twice, and one of them was against the Red Sox in a loss, and then one of them was against the Mets in England.
Now, here's part of being objective. Are they still winning baseball games?
Yes, they are.
So I don't really care.
That Brewers series was a part of that stretch that I just told you about, where they swept the Brewers, winning 3-1, 2-1, and 2-0.
Right. The only stat I care about is wins and losses. There are other stats that lead to how you get there, but ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're winning, I'm good. That's kind of why I'm always so positive about this team, because they win.
Absolutely. And the other conversation that we're having today, do you allow yourself to get overly excited with the on-paper discussion of the depth chart? Our friend Kevin Service checks and he said, are you kidding me? We went nuts when backup Vince Young came in and called the team a dream team. Of course, we're excited about real talent. So we'd love to hear from you on those conversations today. 610-632-0975. Tom, give me a Phillies text, and then I'm going to tell you the great news we got for the Eagles yesterday, the shockingly great news we got for the Eagles.
Okay. Anthony in St. Pete says, I believe a good backup catcher should be traded for this year. JT will take a while to recover because of his position. Also, they need a catcher for next year that can catch 50 to 60 games and give Real Muto both time off and time at first base. He'll be 34 and should not have to handle that type of load.
So that's what Jason Stark kind of said.
Yeah.
Getting a trusted veteran backup catcher. But he did also say, if you don't do it this year, you just have to do it during the offseason. Like, I think it's fair to say that this could be the final year of Garrett Stubbs. So if you love his vibes, like, enjoy it while you can, because this might be it. I think we all thought this season he wouldn't have been on the roster. Probably not next year, especially with JT Realmuto's age. You know, John's pointed out the meniscus and how when you're 33, it doesn't get much better, especially when you play catcher, right?
Can I say this?
Yeah.
I love Stubbs. He should be on the backup for this team unless something, catastrophic happens here with JT or we see he just can't handle this workload. He should not be on the roster next season.
No,
this year's fine. The playoff run. Next year, you need an upgrade. JT's 34 years old. He's having this injury.
Dude,
he can't be on the roster.
I don't even know if this year's fine. Like, if I'm being honest with you, I did not want him on the team to start the season. I love his personality's awesome, right? Like, I hate that I have to do he's a nice, like Brett Brown. How many times did we have to say he's a nice guy, but he's a horrible head coach, right?
Yeah.
Like, Garrett Stubbs is a great guy. I do believe in vibes like you more than John, but I also believe in talent more than lack of talent, and Garrett Stubbs does not have as much talent as I would look for in my backup catcher. I've told you it's got to be close to elite level defense or close to elite level offense.
Right. Well, he's arbitration eligible the next 2 years. So you're not looking at him as a free agent until 2027. There's a chance he's the backup catcher again. And the only way he wouldn't be would be the only situation I'm really comfortable in the Phillies making a move for a catcher now is if you get a young catcher with team-controlled years that you could say you are the heir apparent to JT Realmuto. That's the only thing.
You might not even have to do that. Because if you do have somebody I always forget the kid's name, the guy that's in the farm system that people are excited about. Because I don't really believe in prospects all that much.
You don't believe all that much at all?
I don't believe in prospects at all until they actually show it to me in Major League Baseball. I never get excited for prospects. It doesn't work for me. Like Andrew Painter, look what happened. His arm blew up.
It's bad. He's going to be going to be good still.
Yeah? How does Sixto Sanchez play out?
He's going to be very good.
Sixto Sanchez is now...
Sixto Sanchez is a beer belly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, he's not Sixto Sanchez.
Yeah, but You
He
don't,
was at 160.
you don't know that Spencer Howard was supposed. Like I don't believe in.
I
prospects.
bet you Andrew Painter's a very good pitcher.
I would like to see it before I start anointing prospects as the next Pedro Martinez, which is literally what I heard about Sixto Sanchez, Kyle Drapek, you name it. Anyways,
Eduardo Tate is the catcher.
Thank you. You do have a catcher in the farm system that people think highly of. So it would not be a horrible thing to sign a veteran guy to 1 or 2 years. You could trade Garrett Stubbs for some low-level prospect or for some bullpen help, which you saw with Vierling and like Nick Maton had zero value.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can make certain trades.
So you got Cody Clemens and Gregory Soto back for him.
You did, which are better than Matt Vierling, I still believe, and Nick Maton.
Matty Carshield's out there robbing home runs right now in Detroit.
Exactly. It's amazing. All right, so we could get more of your reaction on the phone line, text line, 610-632-0975. But I want to let you know the good news that the Eagles got yesterday. I'm shocked that they did not have a draft pick taken away from them. They found out the league investigated the tampering of Saquon Barkley, and the Eagles did not get docked the draft pick. I am stunned. I'm thrilled. It also confirms my belief that every freaking team in the NFL does illegal tampering. Every single team. And as long as that you don't do something egregious like Kirk Cousins did, straight up saying during his introductory press conference that he was speaking with team personnel before signing his contract, that you should not be docked a pick.
Yeah, or you have like Tom Brady on a boat and you're trying to get your head coach fired so that he'll play for you. Like
to the point where your cell phones have to be destroyed so that there's not much more evidence.
How many cell phones has Brady destroyed?
A lot.
Jesus.
A lot.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. There are rules that are broken all the time, and leagues are comfortable with it because the rules have to exist to give a guideline, but the enforcement is not probably what it should be. And that's how tampering's always been. So this is proof positive that the Eagles didn't do enough wrong.
Right. And look, I'm gonna fully guess that they tampered.
Yeah, probably.
They probably tampered, right? I think every team in the NFL tampered. I saw a great tweet, my man NBA Slime, yesterday. He pointed it out. He goes, if the Eagles were to get caught with tampering, DeAndre Swift signed with the Bears before the Eagles signed Saquon Barkley. Like, did the Bears tamper? Probably. I'm sure every team tampers. And then Kirk Cousins, the best thing for the Eagles was that they only docked them a 5th-round pick because he straight up said, I talked to team personnel before signing. If they docked him like a 3rd-round pick or a 2nd-round pick, the Eagles probably would have lost like a 5th or a 6th. Right. If the Eagles lost a 6th when the Falcons lost a 5th, I would have been pissed off. Even though it was just a 6th-round pick, it seems like their tampering was 2 totally different situations. But it just confirms that every team does it. And the league should just allow it, man.
Also, it's another one of those trust Howie type of things. Like, he has his stuff buttoned up.
Yes, he does.
This Eagles organization does not make mistakes like that. You don't see them break any rules. You don't see them have any violations. You don't see them cause any issues like on a league scale. The Eagles run a tight ship. It didn't show in the locker room last year or on the field, but we know how this organization is run under Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. So just like normally if there's some kind of question, the Eagles are going to come out on the right side.
Were you surprised that they didn't lose a draft pick? I was shocked.
I was kind of coin flip as to whether or not they would. I'm pleasantly surprised that they did not, but I wasn't like expecting them.
I thought they were going to try to make the Eagles and Falcons as like
an example.
Example.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you.
I thought they were going to do that because they've been trying to crack down on it. At least that's what they say. Even though I think that's bogus, I don't think they're actually going to crack down, and they shouldn't. Let me make that clear. They should not crack down. I don't care about rules. They should not crack down because here's the deal. The NFL gets so much publicity on the first day of legal tampering. They're talked about ad nauseum, right? We talked about them for 4 hours based off of reports from Diana Rossini that they might get Saquon Barkley. You were with me that day, right, Tom?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. We were doing the show when the Rossini report started coming out at 12:01. Right, legal tampering started at noon, and at 12:01, she's tweeting out about how the Eagles are like the front runners to get Saquon Barkley. Every team freaking does it. Just allow it. You get your publicity. Get rid of the term legal tampering because that is an oxymoron. It actually does not make sense. Legal tampering that should not exist. Just get rid of it in general. But I thought they were going to be made an example of. I thought the Eagles. I said 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
I thought like really highly that they would lose a draft pick.
And I was lower than I definitely predicted that they lose some. I think I said like
We
a
all
fifth or a
did. You,
sixth.
me, and John. No, we did. I said 3. John said 4. You said 5. We all
Okay.
thought that they were going to lose a pick. I thought it was going to be higher for the Eagles than normal. I thought the Falcons would lose like a 1 or a 2 because Kirk Cousins straight up said, I was talking with the team trainer. I was like that. That was the definition of illegal tampering.
And they only lost a fifth. So
Yeah.
at this point, there's one more party to this, though, that needs
right.
to be addressed. And that is the reason that this conversation even happened in the first place.
James Franklin. And he was literally interviewed. Did you see the tweet from Shefty? They spoke with Franklin.
Yeah. He was one of 3 parties listed, right? It was Saquon, Howie Roseman, and James Franklin.
And James Franklin.
Now, here's the question. Is
That
he
rat.
off the hook?
No, he's a rat.
That's the right answer.
No, because they literally, first off, where do you think I was going to go with that? TU, baby. Screw Penn State.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Of course, I'm going to call James Franklin a rat, underperforming, underachieving head coach that people
Thanks
just
for
still
calling
believe
in,
in
James.
because people drink the Kool-Aid at Penn State and say everything's fine, everything's great, they're going to be a good football team. He's just a good recruiter. You guys stink. You guys always fall short of expectations. How did you think I was going to react to James
I
Franklin?
knew how you were going to react. I'm throwing you an oop. You're supposed to dunk it, LeBron.
But I'm glad that they interviewed James Franklin. I'm sure that the Eagles spoke with James. My guess is they spoke with James Franklin.
Hey, bro, shut up.
But I'm dead serious. That would be my guess. Like the Eagles are a more
Penalties already hit us. We're good. He can say whatever he
yeah,
wants.
exactly.
Now.
He can. You're right. All right. What else do we have on the text line? I know we have text coming in about the Eagles. Do you allow yourself to get excited with the on-paper discussion, even though you know the Eagles have won 1 Super Bowl in franchise history? And this is not me saying you shouldn't, because I myself allow myself to get excited and probably overly excited. What do we have on the text line, Connor?
Who?
Tom.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm too used to it.
Real nice, buddy.
All right,
Thanks.
it flows off the tongue. I do it every single day.
I'm right
Leave
here,
me
buddy.
alone.
You're good. No problem, John. This is from Zach. The on paper is sexy. Last year said the same thing, and it wasn't as much. But I get sorry, not great grammar here. But get to 10-1 and then imploded. I'm excited and fired up. But last year showed me anything can happen to sexy. Regardless, go Birds.
Yeah, regardless, go Birds. Like, I would rather be excited going into a season than not.
Yeah, like all we can go off of is what you expect. I understand that there's a chance that this team doesn't reach the expectations we place based on the roster.
Cooper DeJean might stink.
Yeah, same with Quinyon Mitchell. He came out of Toledo.
Right.
There are plenty of questions about whether or not this guy can play at this level. I'm not saying he's an
Right.
all-pro, but I'm saying the upside is definitely there. You've built the roster as well as you could, I think, given the circumstances and what you had to work with, and now we're going to take our chances. Maybe it will go bad, but I'm not going to sit here waiting for that.
No.
And that's the other thing real quick when it comes to the on paper. We talk a lot about on paper. Like, I think this was a good draft from Howie Roseman. I love him going defensive backs the first 2 picks.
Right.
On paper, this looks like a good draft. On paper, getting Nolan Smith at 30th overall was a steal last year.
Right.
He played 16% of the snaps last season. There's still a
Kobe
huge
Dean
question
falling
mark.
to the 3rd round
course.
was a great selection by the Eagles on paper. Like Jeff McClain said it best, right? Even though I wish I got more out of Jeff when we had him on the week after the draft. I said, hey, like, how do you evaluate this draft? And he straight up said, I can't. They haven't played yet. I will evaluate the draft after they play. And he even said, I can't evaluate somebody who played as a rookie. Like, is Jalen Carter who he is, or could he get better? Could Jordan Davis get better, who was entering year 3? Like, Jeff McClain says it logically
Right.
and from an educated perspective.
And that is not my bag, right? So what
Right.
I'm going to tell you I'm going to do is I'm going to evaluate these guys based on what I've seen. I could be right and I could be wrong, but God forbid I give you a projection. Like, that's what this is. I'm going to give you my thought on how good these guys can be.
Right.
And I think they're going to be really good. And I think there's basis to have logic behind that. And maybe we're wrong, but that's kind of what we're doing here.
Do you think Cooper DeJean is going to be really good?
I don't know if I'd say really good. I think he's going to be a plus pro player.
I think he's going to be an NFL player.
Yeah. I think he's going to be an above average NFL player.
Okay, and that's fair. Like, I just, like, when the draft board started, remember there was like, oh, he's climbing up into the top half of the 1st round. I was like, really? Like,
Listen, man, we'll see. I
think
want to do really good because he plays for the Eagles.
Because of the lack of position, that kind of worries me. I think out of the jump, he might struggle just because he doesn't have an exact fit here with this team. But I'm with Connor. I view him as a pro.
yeah, I do
Plus
too.
player.
I do too. Like, I think he's better than Reed Blankenship and could eventually take his job down the road. All right, we continue the conversation. Text in, call in, 610-632-0975. Coming up next, a little bit of a different spin. I have something that I'm going to suggest that I don't think leagues would ever agree on. But I think every sports fan in the world, or majority of sports fans in the world, would agree with. All right? It's a hear me out segment coming. Oh, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I don't like it already.
Really? All right. It's a hear me out segment. I'll bring it up coming up next. More of your texts. Another question out of the hat. It's Kincade Salciunas. Connor in for John, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Red Sox don't. 6:30 on Kincade Salciunas. John out today. Connor in for him. God, I got choked up.
You all right?
I just
miss
want
John. You're
I
emotional.
miss John, man. I do.
We all do.
I love working with John. As I'm sure there are a lot of people that listen to the show and hear us going at it every single day, and they go, "Oh my God, they miss each other." I love working with John. It's actually a lot of fun. It's just sometimes I want to pull my hair out by the end of the show.
Absolutely.
And then weekends happen.
It's
and then
like
I go home and I drink for 2 days, and I'm back at it on Monday morning.
If you ever taken like a boxing
healthy.
class or whatever, it's not fun to get hit by the other person, but you get done and you're just like, oh, okay, this is why I do this. It's fun to spar. This is just verbal
I
sparring.
don't know if it is.
What?
I sparred before. I don't think it's enjoyable getting your head wrung.
Maybe you're not a boxer. Not everyone would enjoy this, but like we enjoyed this type of sparring.
Yes, this type of sparring that does not lead to physical altercations, even though it probably has in the past in sports talk
What do you mean?
radio.
I tackled you into a puddle last week.
Yes, you did. That was ridiculous. All right, so we'll get back to the texts and we'll get back to our Phillies and Eagles discussions. But I have something I want to offer the NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball. Now, I know that there will probably be some Philadelphia fans that take exception to this because it has worked out in the past in favor of Philadelphia teams. I believe that series in the playoffs, NBA, NHL, and MLB, should remain 7-game series. But if a team goes up 3-0, it should be done.
I mean,
No, I'm dead serious. Like so yesterday, I'm driving around. I'm listening to the best show ever, and I hear Tyrone and Ricky talking about how I think that the word of the day was tragic, and it was tragic that the Boston Celtics were 1 win away from the NBA Finals, and they both made a good point that it's been some time since a hated rival has won something. I know the Braves won a World Series. The Mets are, I think, the team that more people hate than the Atlanta Braves.
right, and that rivalry didn't really exist when the Braves won as much as it does now because the Phillies stunk. Still.
Absolutely. So, like, it's been a while since the Penguins have won.
And we'll never have to worry about the Cowboys.
Exactly. It's been a while since the Celtics have won. Like, we haven't seen a hated rival win in quite some time. And we might see that. And then Ricky made the great point. He tried avoiding any of the coverage, but everywhere he went to, that was a sports-related channel. It was Celtics are 1 win away, and no team has ever come back being down 3-0. I think if teams are up 3-0 in a series, it should just end. It's like the Sunday League playoff. The higher seed is already up 1-0 in the series,
Okay.
and if they win the first game, it's just over in the best of 3.
They gotta win too.
The other team has to win 2. Guys, the Mavericks are not coming back. And I know there have been instances where the Phillies came back and Flyers came back and beat the Bruins. I know the Red Sox came back in a magical way to beat the Yankees and eventually win the World Series. What? 3 or 4 times in 150 years across all professional sports it's happened.
That's why you play them. You never know. It's rare, but it gives you some of the greatest stories in the history of sports.
And it is going to happen again. It might not be this year. It might not be this decade, but it is going to happen again, and it will be talked about for another 100 years after that.
And you know why Boston should absolutely have to play these next however many games?
Because they've choked in the past.
It's not just that. Do you know what you're potentially giving up? Do you know, as bad as it's going to feel to watch the Celtics win the NBA Finals, probably in 4 games,
whether it's in game 4, 5, 6, or 7, it's going to suck.
but how great would it feel if they choked a 3-0 lead on the doorstep?
They're not going to.
You say that, but like I'd take the chance.
There should be fine. You know what they should do? If a team is up 3-0, let the world vote.
Okay.
Or let the league or let the league vote and just vote for whether or not you want it to end or not. Because to me, I am not even going to watch Game 4. Not just because I don't want to see the Celtics hoist the trophy. I don't think Dallas, as bad as they've played in this series, is going to all of a sudden flip the switch. And if they do flip the switch, I don't think their switch flipping will create enough momentum for them to win 3 more games after that without losing one.
I don't think so either, but I want to see it happen. Like, I want that chance to exist. Hope is always there as long as you have games to play.
Now, do you say that because the Flyers did it?
No, not really.
Because to me, yeah, the Flyers did it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's ever going to happen again.
I don't know. We used to say the same thing about my dad all the time growing up. A 16 seed will never beat a 1 seed in your entire life. He said that to me my entire life growing up. Now, look, college has changed, obviously.
College has changed drastically.
It has, and it's not nearly the same as professional sports.
And it's one game.
However, it got done. It got done. I was told something my entire life that it wasn't going to happen, and it has gotten done. Has it been done twice? Yeah, it's been twice now.
Yeah. Twice now.
So, I don't know.
One game, 2 halves.
That's it. It has happened before.
That's it.
Stranger things have happened. I can't just throw my hands up and go.
I've seen it. I've seen it twice in my lifetime. I've seen it with the Red Sox being the Yankees and the Flyers. Our Philadelphia Flyers coming back down 3-0 and being down 3-0 in Game 7. I know. I've seen it twice in my lifetime.
How about this? It has to go to NBA TV. It's not allowed to be on ABC.
Right, yeah.
That's what, if it's
give me a better program.
It goes to NHL
Put a baseball
Network.
team on national television. Like, I'm not watching Game 4. I'm not. I've watched a lot of games 1, 2, and 3 up until I need to fall asleep because of this morning show gig.
Okay, but here's the deal. You're not watching Game 7 if it gets there. We're bird boxing you. You're blindfolded, locked in a room.
No, I'm allowed to watch.
No, you're not. You can't have both.
Allowed to watch it.
All right, I would like to know, are people more on Tom and Connor's side, or are you like me where if a team's up 3-0, you should just end the series? We always say, a gentleman's sweep. Like, that's literally a saying, is gentleman's sweep, winning in 5. All right, so they have to play one more game? You just delay the inevitable? Like, I'm somebody who would rather just get things over with in life.
I got you.
Like, just rip off the Band-Aid. That's what I do in life in general. I don't see, let me see how this plays out. No, if I believe that something is happening, all right, let's get rid of that thing.
Right.
That chair that's creaking is not going to get fixed anytime soon because the nails are missing. I'm just going to throw out the chair. I'd rather just get rid of stuff.
But I'm also an as long as there's a chance guy. As long as you're still giving me a chance, there's part of me that will always believe.
If the Sixers were currently down 3-0 to the Mavericks, how are you acting going into Game 4?
99.9% of me says this team is dead. And that 0.01 or whatever percent, 0.1% says, yeah, play those games, though.
Game 7 is slated for Sunday, June 23rd. Chunas, you have 2 choices. You can watch New York versus Washington in the WNBA.
Okay.
Or no, excuse me, that's NW. That's the Women's Soccer League. That's what you get.
Oh, okay,
New York versus Washington, the Women's Soccer League.
Big game.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not watching that. It has nothing to do with women. I just don't watch soccer.
Okay. Then you get the WNBA then. You get Liberty in Atlanta.
That's a
Those
good
are
game.
the only 2 options.
Liberty.
Because you're not watching Game 7.
Liberty. Who did Liberty have? Hold on. Again, it's not like I'm.
Brianna Stewart.
Thank you. All right, I like her. She's a good ball
You
player.
were seeing if Kelsey Plum was all the time.
Yeah, that's why. No,
That's your girl.
she plays for the Vegas Aces.
You
I
know
know
already.
where Kelsey Plum plays.
Of course.
Chrissy, listening. I would move to Vegas right now. Look, rebound. Like,
Hopefully Darren Waller's not listening.
Come on, man. I'm not afraid of that.
What is he going to drop another song?
Yeah, exactly.
The 6'5" tight end.
Is he going to drop a diss track on me? Like,
That'd be
come
awesome
on, man.
if you got a Darren Waller diss track.
6'5", 250-pound tight end. Yeah, come on, man.
I get what you're saying
talking
with
about?
the whole game. Once you're up 3-0,
the series is over.
My immediate reaction is I get why you're saying this, but I will always take the chance. And I'll also always, this is just because I'm a sportsman, I'll always take the more sports over the less sports. If I get one more game of NBA basketball this year, cool. It's more for me to watch.
All right, this is a stretch, but let me bring it into gambling. You have a ticket, your team's down 3-0.
Yeah.
And they're offering you a cash out. Even though your $1 ticket, the cash out might be $10. Are you cashing out?
Bro, absolutely.
Exactly.
Cool,
so
that
tells you.
I'm not telling
that
you it's likely.
That series is over, and what's the point of even watching? What's the point of even playing it?
My argument is not that it's likely. My argument is that I'd like to see it. You know what I do? If I'm playing a golf match, I guess I did this to my brother 2 weeks ago. He had a 3-foot putt to beat me by 1 stroke on 18. You know what I said? I'd like to see that putt. I know he's going to make it. I know there's a 0% chance he misses it.
But you want to see it.
But I'd like to see that putt. You never know.
Good for you. Have fun watching. When's the next game? That's how disinterested I am. They play tonight or tomorrow night?
Tonight. Tune in, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, you guys can listen live. I will probably be playing Xbox or something like that.
You're going to be taking the Sixers to the finals in 2K?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I do when I'm miserable watching the Boston Celtics. Well, I won't be watching, but if I were watching the Boston Celtics win the championship, I'm going to go and turn it down to rookie mode and score 1 million points and win the
I love
NBA
doing
Finals.
that.
That's how I do it. All right, coming up next, we continue to get your reaction on the topics at hand. Let's hear some of you on this. I would love it if the league just said, you know what? Boston's not going to lose. Let's just end it. Like, screw the way that it's been done. All right, like, don't waste my time. Just let them celebrate tonight. Open up the door so that the Celtics fans can go in there and party. All right, even though it's in Dallas. The series is over. We'd love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. We get our next random question out of the hat. It is a Fanatic Friday on Kincade and Salciunas. Connor in for John right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Batalico.
When Nick Castellanos is starting to get
the Fanatic. Got a text from the PD.
Oh, what's
Boss
up?
man Scott Masteller checks in.
We in trouble?
Yeah, I'm fired after this show.
You should be.
No, he makes the valid point that what I propose will never happen.
You get so much money and ratings
Exactly.
and everything. Yeah.
Broadcast. Well, don't say ratings.
Okay, well,
I don't
money.
think that, dude, by what I've seen so far, this NBA Finals has been rated horribly.
Well, yeah, dude. Dallas hasn't shown up. Nobody likes the Boston Celtics.
Right.
And nobody really cares about the Mavericks aren't like a storied franchise.
I don't think Game 4 tonight will do well at all. I think everyone realizes it's just done.
It'll still be the most watched thing tonight on cable, though.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, there's no news stuff going on.
I don't know. Is there Friday night television? I don't watch much cable television.
It's
so.
going to beat out
that
The
exists.
Voice or whatever, though. Like, they're going to be the number one.
Is the Masked Singer on? I like the Masked Singer.
No, that's Sunday nights after the Eagles games or whatever.
You would know that.
No, that's the only reason why those shows are still on the network. Because they follow football games.
Wow.
It bothers me, man.
He gets fired up about the Masked Singer. I didn't realize.
It's such a stupid concept. But people leave their TVs on and they go cook dinner and they go spend time with the family because they have not paid attention to their kid for 8 hours because they've been watching football all day. And so the TV stays on. So the Masked Singer and Sheldon and all those stupid ass shows get views.
I am so glad I brought that
That's
up.
a fantastic point. I never thought about it that way.
It's true. Like, nobody actually watches those shows. They leave the TV on running. And then they go and do something. Then all of a sudden, they probably turn it off 15 minutes later once they get to commercial, and they get the quarter hours. As a radio man, I understand that.
By the way, if you're listening to the Celtics Mavericks tonight, stay tuned for our weekend program in the next morning.
Yeah, Bill Colarulo, 9 a.m., Saturdays and Sundays.
That's actually a good show.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to get to another question out of the hat coming up soon, but what do we have on the text line about our Philadelphia Eagles? One of our topics today, we have a cordial Phillies discussion that we're having today, even though it was tweeted out that we are asking the question whether or not we should panic. Trust me, we are not panicking. And we are not asking that question. We just want the people who have concerns to feel comfortable to address them, because normally we shoot you down because we think you're crazy because the Phillies are 46-22. But today, on a feel-good Fanatic Friday, it's a payday Friday, man.
Right.
I'm in a great mood. I will listen to your concerns and hopefully help you out.
Like, if you're panicking, you can talk to us about it.
Yeah.
We're not going to be in that same mindset. But
Absolutely
we'll
not.
hear you out on it.
Yeah, so no, we are not panicking, but you can call in, text in 610-632-0975. What do we have on the text line about the Eagles? And then we'll get to our next random question out of the hat.
All right, we got Tony from Jersey saying, the defensive secondary is seriously getting me excited. It seems like we really have the talent to play and talent in the wings waiting for the next generation. Just get some legit linebackers for the future, and we will be set.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have to see them play out. We do. Like, you made the point. Quinyon Mitchell's out of Toledo. He might stink. I don't think that he will. No. I think that he's going to be very good. I don't necessarily know if colleges matter all that much, but I remember people telling us that Carson Wentz wasn't going to be good because he played at North Dakota, not at a higher program. Now, he did play very good his second year, and then for other circumstances fell apart. But, you know, we'll see. We got to wait and see how this guy plays out. Cooper DeJean, I don't know why he was climbing up so high in the draft board. There's a reason why he probably went in the second round. But the second round is still an important round. We'll see how he plays out. But I'm excited based off of the prospects on paper for the Eagles.
And if you're not, I don't think you're evaluating this properly. Like, you have to argue that there's upside there. Those were highly touted prospects by teams around the NFL. It's not like it was just the Eagles and they made some crazy pick. Like, these are top-level guys rated in the draft that should have both been first-round picks by their grading, and you have them both. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but it's not a reason you should wait for it to go wrong.
Right. Like, it's okay to – we're not working for the Eagles.
No.
Right? It's okay to, as a fan, be excited about something before seeing it. And for the most part, I think most fans do that. There are some people that try to be like, well, what about last year? Or let me see how it plays out first. And that's fine. But there are certain circumstances where I look at a secondary that needed to be – rejuvenated, and they at least approach that this offseason. And so I'm going to be excited about it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be excited about a guy who was a starting corner up until a gambling situation, right? I'm going to be excited about the first-round cornerback selected by the Eagles since, Lito Shepherd it was or something like that, Sheldon Burst. It's
2002.
It'd been a long time. Like, I'm going to be excited about that kind of stuff, and I hope that other people are. And if you're not, that's one of our topics today. Do you allow yourself to get excited with on-paper discussion? 610-632-0975. Now, Tom, what do we have in the random questions out of the hat? Give us another good one here.
Question out of the hat. I can't really, All right, here we go.
Connor complains about the folding up of the papers every single week.
Great.
The new ones are only folded one time.
Yeah, but weren't you the one that folded them?
No.
Oh, okay.
This one was like I'm unrolling something here. If you could wipe one Sixers playoff series loss in the Joel Embiid era from your memory, which would it be and why? Now, this is 2019 excluded. So that's obviously the Toronto series. So wipe one Sixers playoff series loss in the Joel Embiid era from your memory, 2019 excluded. What would it be and why?
So that doesn't mean that they ended up winning the championship. It just means I forget all about it. I had amnesia. It'd be Atlanta.
No, absolutely not. Because then I would not be able to go after Doc Rivers and Ben Simmons the way that I currently can. I need to remember how bad they were. I need to. I cannot wake up one day and think, actually, Doc Rivers' resume looks pretty good. Oh, Ben Simmons? Hey, maybe if he gets into a spot where he can make a big play, he'll do it.
Okay.
No,
Fair
I
point.
want to remember that.
By the way, speaking of Doc, we have to get into him at some point because he said something yesterday that was just completely ridiculous.
Basketball.
Then what's your answer?
It's a tough one.
Because that's the most painful one for me.
Right, but
They were the 1 seed, not only had a lead in the series, had a lead of 18 points and 27 points?
I've got it.
In 2 games that they ended up losing. I remember watching Game 6 at a wedding in Colorado.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, they won. And then flying back home, fully expecting them to just, all right, they got through it. And that would have been the year they finally get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And they had a lead.
Pain-wise, you're absolutely right.
Dude, I remember, hand to God, I started folding laundry. I was watching the game still. So I was watching on my main TV, and I was like, they're really blown. I got to change. I went to a different room to hope to change up the vibe. Didn't work.
I'll tell you what I'd go with. Celtics last year. That's the one for me. Because part of that is I don't think we learned anything crazy about any players we didn't already know. So I'm not absolving any. It's not like if you take out that series, all of a sudden Tobias Harris is a god in this series.
Right.
We already know that he was not big in the clutch. We already knew over the course of his career that James Harden has deficiencies at certain points and also has a major upside. I don't think we learned anything about James Harden in that series. And we didn't learn anything about Embiid, really. You know what? We might have learned a little bit about Embiid because he did seem hesitant to demand the ball in big spots. But
yeah,
I want to remember who we're supposed to hate while also taking out as much pain as possible.
That's a good point.
I'm trying to think of the domino effect of this thing. If they don't lose that Hawks series, is Ben Simmons here for another couple years? And does that go even worse? If they don't lose that Boston Celtics series last year, is James Harden still here this year potentially? So, I'm trying to think of it from all kind of viewpoints. I'll go this year, honestly, because they beat Indiana. I get it. I know Indiana is a fast-paced team. Embiid maybe wasn't very healthy. The Knicks lost to Indiana. If they beat the Knicks this past year, I think they beat Indiana. I think we're looking at this team and this franchise a whole lot differently than we are right now. I think if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, we are.
But they get absolutely dookied on by the Hawks.
They get trashed.
4-0 sweep, no doubt.
Maybe.
All right, well,
maybe not.
If you want to, the beauty of these questions out of the hat, you can answer them yourselves on the text line or the call-in line or social media. Text or call 610-632-0975. Coming up next, we have today's headlines with Tom Alvord because Connor's sitting in this chair today. So Tom will be running today's headlines. And also, coming up next, another horrible contract was signed, or given out, I should say, by an NFL team. You know how we always talk about market crashes for us? How about a market crash for NFL teams? Because some of these teams deserve it. I'll explain what next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Up.
Is it?
Yeah, but like I think it's just like a flash summer storm. Good for the plants.
Yeah, good
There's
for
a
my
country song
drive.
called "Rain Is a Good Thing."
That's true.
See?
Shout out Luke Bryan.
That's the guy who sang it. I don't know these things. I just know songs.
Okay.
That's just who I am. We got today's headlines with Tom Alvord coming up in about 3 minutes at 8:05, as we do every single day. And after today's headlines, there was another contract, big contract signed in the NFL, and it's going to lead to a discussion that I bring up every once in a while when these contracts are signed. And I wonder if there will ever be a change. I don't think there will ever be a change. But seriously, what I saw last night was absolutely insane to me. So that will be coming up at 8:10. But again, just a quick reminder of what we're talking about today. Phillies lose their series in Boston. Social media was quick to let us know about it. Like, they were quick to say, hey, they lost. Hey, the bats aren't working. Hey, Aaron Nola stinks. Hey, the bullpen's been not been good. Base running's an issue. Blah, blah. It's all good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just take a deep breath. And I know we put out a tweet about our initial thoughts today, and the question says, should it be time to panic after losing a series in Boston? We are both saying absolutely not.
Not even close.
There are some people reacting as if we are saying it is time to panic. It is not time to panic. However, if you have any sort of concern, if there is anything that's been bothering you, if there's been anything that you've been worried to even bring up because you don't want to sound crazy. Like, I think we did this with the Eagles. Now, two totally different situations. Like, the Phillies are legitimate, 46-win team, whereas the Eagles were a questionable 10-win team. But there are a lot of people who didn't want to say things about the Eagles because they thought they would sound crazy complaining about a 10-1 team.
Absolutely.
I literally had a show on that, and there were people that were like, yeah, there are things that are bothering me. I just don't want to say because they're 10-1.
I was partially in that boat.
Yeah. I think there are probably a lot of people that don't want to say anything because the Phillies are 46-22. So we are level-headed people today, and we are opening up a cordial Phillies discussion. If you think there is something that you are concerned about, feel free to let us know, and we will talk it out, and we will hopefully help you. It's almost kind of like a therapy session today.
Love that. Yeah. Now, I don't know that we're the two guys that you should go to for therapy.
No, absolutely not.
But on the Phillies, we might be.
No, maybe not that either.
Okay.
There are paid professionals that do that. Oh, wait.
Paid professional Phillies therapists?
Maybe.
I think that's us, dude.
It could be. Or we make the problems worse. Who knows? All right, you can climb in 610-632-0975. But it's time now for today's headlines, not with Connor Thomas, but with Tom Alvord.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Hi, Tommy.
Hey, guys.
What do you got?
How we doing? All right, couple things here. One that you mentioned a little bit earlier on in the show, and I'm glad you did because I really want to play this for you guys. All right, so Doc Rivers, you may have heard of him, right?
Oh, my God. This is ridiculous.
Doc Rivers joined the Bill Simmons podcast. Bill Simmons is, unlistenable right now for people because he's obviously a Celtics fan. Celtics doing very well. And they got into a ton mainly about the Celtics, but they talked a little bit about playing in front of your home fans, playing at the home court. And this is what Doc Rivers had to say.
They're, I think, 34-14 on the road, just period, this season.
Yeah.
But they play better on the road. You're with your family. I'm preaching
better.
the choir with you, though.
Yeah, but usually you play better at home. The only place that I thought it was difficult to play at home was in Philly because of the crowd, and I thought it affected our players.
So, real quick, Doc Rivers loves to make excuses.
Absolutely, he does.
Blame the 1-4 start on multiple things, including altitude. Discussing the Bucs' struggles on the road. He said it's on the.
Didn't he rip the
equipment
travel?
manager?
Yeah, the equipment manager.
Our travel crew was the problem. And oh, by the way, the Sixers were 31-4 at home before Doc Rivers got there.
Were they really?
Yes, the season before Doc Rivers got there, they were 31-4.
Yeah.
So thoughts on Doc Rivers?
No, I think it's ridiculous. And what's going to piss me off is, there will be people that are going to run with this and be like, see, like the Michael Wilbons of the world, who I respect dearly, even though I don't respect his opinion on Philadelphia. There's going to be guys that are going to run with that and be like, yeah, this is what we're talking about. And then there's going to be an athlete that doesn't know anything about Philadelphia that goes, oh, man, should I really sign with the Sixers? Because I heard what Doc Rivers said. It's ridiculous. It's always excuse making. This guy has never taken accountability for a loss a day in his life.
No, he hasn't. And, bro, that building's awesome. We've all been down there. It's a great environment to play in front of. we had dudes when Ben Simmons was choosing not to shoot the basketball, trying to will him into making free throws. Yeah. And that's a bad environment. That's one you don't want to. Maybe you can't handle the pressure of it. Maybe you can't handle the criticism of you where you actually deserve it, Mr. Rivers. But I don't get it.
And I don't know. Is Joel Embiid had a bad career?
No, pretty good.
Haven't we talked about him potentially being a Hall of Famer, even if his career ended today?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just stuff like that bothers me, and we will talk about this more as the show goes on. I just hate that somebody's going to run with this and be like, "See, this is what we're talking about." Even your own former. He didn't say it when he was the head coach of the Sixers. He wasn't.
It's always after he leaves.
And he was not afraid to say things when he was the head coach of the Sixers. He literally said that's a dumbass question to a reporter, right? He was not afraid to say certain things that I feel like other coaches wouldn't have said in the past. But he waits until he leaves to talk about how, it's hard to play in Philadelphia.
See you later, Doc.
Is it hard to play in Milwaukee? Is it hard to play in L.A. with the Clippers?
It seems for a Doc Rivers coach team, it's hard to play anywhere.
That's what I'm saying. It's
always, he wouldn't wish it on anybody.
It's always something with this freaking guy.
All right, next one here. Obviously, we have the NBA Finals going on. 3-0. That series is over and should be over, according to Andrew Salciunas.
Yeah, just end it.
There is another series going on, and unfortunately, it's not as entertaining as we were hoping for, just like the NBA Finals. That is the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Florida goes up 3-0 on Edmonton last night. Sorry, Brendan Gunn. And a big part of that is because of their goaltender, who you may recognize the name. Here's a little clip about how great Sergei Bobrovsky has been so far for the Panthers.
This would be the ultimate bit of magic. I think everybody would have to believe. McDavid down low. Soder's one. And a point-blank chance for McLeod.
David's going to dance into the zone and get behind the net. McLeod will come right to the top of the blue paint. Left pad save seal by Bobrovsky as McLeod was that close to finishing this comeback. Bobrovsky has to get over, and he's got to squeeze his pad to the ice. That's flexibility and strength.
Yeah, it's just we keep staying with the moment. It's obviously it's a great win for us tonight, and we enjoy tonight and get ready for the next moment.
So Bobrovsky, a huge part of why Florida is up 3-0. He has the highest save percentage in Cup final history.
Yeah.
Highest save percentage in Cup finals history. And again, you may remember the name Bobrovsky, even if you're a casual fan out there. June 22nd, 2012, Flyers trade disgruntled goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky to the Blue Jackets for a 2012 second-round pick, 2012 fourth-round pick, and a 2013
it's because he's disgruntled because they signed Ilya.
That goes down as one of the worst trades. Now, one of the worst trades in Philadelphia sports history. Any other worst trades in Philadelphia sports history that stick out to you? I know I'm throwing this on you kind of out of the blue. But, Serge, we've been looking for a goalie here, and, of course, the Carter Hart situation doesn't make this any easier for Philadelphia. But, how different could this last decade have been for the Philadelphia Flyers if maybe they chose to go the Bobrovsky route?
Well, it wasn't look, I'm not a total historian, but the 5-for-1 trade was one of them for Philadelphia. Look, DRC ended up sucking here, but they trade Kevin Cobb. It's not like I can crush the Eagles for that one.
I'll tell you what, we have a lot more bad signings in this city than we do bad trades.
Yeah, I would think so.
About the Andrew Bynum?
Yeah, but I think we all agreed with the trade.
Yeah.
I don't remember outrage.
I think a lot of people agree with the trade at the time for Bobrovsky, but looking back on it.
Yeah, looking back, but then Bynum did send him down a spiral, but it brought you Joel Embiid. I don't know. It's a tough question to answer. I got to think about that.
Yeah, moving Jimmy Butler was one because of
but
what
he didn't want to be here.
No, I got you.
That's why I can't even rip the Sixers
Bobrovsky
for it.
didn't want to be here. So it's
all right.
Somewhat akin.
Yeah, I got you.
Goes to the finals, shows up in the Eastern Conference Finals. We know how good Jimmy's been since he's been in Miami.
Yeah, I hear you. I just, it was a sign and trade. He didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
It was a sign and trade.
Fair enough. But
I got you.
Regardless, that series is over, according to Andrew Salciunas as well.
All
right, last one here. Connor likes to do a little pull out of the hat for number 3. And randomly, what will it take for Nick Sirianni to lose his job this year? Is there any specific benchmark for him to reach?
Well, this is a serious question.
Are we saying at the end of the season or at any point?
Just says this year.
Like if they start off like 0-3, 0-4,
he's not going to lose his job at 0-4. He will not.
Brother, if they start 0-4, he's losing his job.
No, he won't.
They start 1-3, he's losing his job.
No, he's not.
Dude,
they start 0-4 with Super Bowl aspirations in this offense. After last season's collapse, and he doesn't lose his job.
He is the first to go.
They're not canning anybody a month into the season. They're not.
Dude, I can't disagree with you more. If they are 0-4, and depending on how it looks, and if there's complaints from the franchise court, do you not remember Howie giving Jalen that big hug when he walked into the locker room after the Buccaneers game, and it almost looked like an I got you hug? Like, Sirianni, I don't want to say he's a guy that you can just get rid of at any moment. But
if they start 0-1, is Sirianni 6-1?
No, but you said 0-4? Yeah,
and we already talked. The first two games are kind of tough. You're playing one in Brazil. You're playing two veteran pass offenses. I know Jordan Love isn't exactly
but your offense is built to be this freaking
I got you.
Ferrari.
I don't think they're going to start 0-4. If they do, it's a major.
I don't think they're going to either. But if the question is there anything that would happen for him to get fired, 0-4 start absolutely gets him fired.
I don't think so. I don't think 0-4 gets him fired. I don't think a month into the season this team is going to remove a head coach that they stuck with through last year.
How many 0-4 teams turn things around and go on to win a Super Bowl? Compete for a Super Bowl?
How many teams that are 0-4 that you fire the head coach do the same thing? Like, they're going to give him more of a leash than that. I don't see him gone before week 8.
Okay.
No matter, what happens.
0-4 with the way this team is built, I could totally see him getting fired. But if we're not going to go mid-season or anything, if they don't make the playoffs...
Oh, he's gone.
There's no shot.
Yeah.
He retains
If
his
they
job.
start 0-4 and Sirianni is still here after the bye week, I will eat my shoe live on air. There is no chance that dude makes it through the bye week if they're 0-4.
They're not going to be 0-4.
Because that's also smart. You give the interim head coach 2 weeks to prepare.
Exactly.
Man, I want to see you eat your shoe, though.
Dude, there's no way he keeps his job if they start 0-4. I don't think they start 0-4, but if they start 0-4, there's no way he stays.
How many coaches get fired a month into the season?
A coach that was considered to be fired after the season that previously just ended.
They were flirting with Belichick all last offseason.
Dude.
I would love to see the last time a coach got fired 4 weeks into the season. A coach that has appeared in a Super Bowl before. They're not going to can him 4 weeks in. They will can him at some point in the season, but it won't be 4 weeks in, guys. That's way too soon.
I'll try to figure out some of these because I'm sure there have been that we just don't remember.
Yeah.
But we'll see. All right. Good job, Tommy. It's today's headlines with Tom Malvord. Okay, so something I want to bring up. Trevor Lawrence, this is unbelievable to me. Trevor Lawrence on a per-year basis is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence. A guy who has severely underachieved in the NFL. A guy that was supposed to be a can't-miss talent. A guy who has had really one big moment, and that was that comeback against the Chargers in a playoff game. It was a big comeback.
Right.
But Trevor Lawrence, on a per-year basis, will be making $55 million a year. Actually tied with Joe Burrow for $55 million per year. More than Goff, Herbert, Jackson, Jalen Hurts. More than Patrick Mahomes. More than every quarterback in the NFL other than Joe Burrow because they're tied. I've said this a couple times since this morning show has started. NFL quarterbacks, I understand the value of having a good one, but mediocre to underachieving quarterbacks are still extremely overvalued, and I just don't get it. Do you really believe that Trevor Lawrence has deserved that contract?
No. But part of me thinks that this doesn't exactly revolve around football. I think that every general manager in the NFL's worst nightmare is having to look for a quarterback. And if you can convince yourself and your fan base and your organization that you have one, you have a lot less on your plate, whether it's factual or not. So I think these contracts are being given just to say, we've got the guy. whether you believe it or not. Because then, I don't know, you're tied to that guy and it'll work out or it doesn't. But I do think that the reason these guys get paid is you don't want to face the fact that they're not as good as you think they are.
Well, then aren't you setting your franchise back because you don't want to face the music?
Absolutely.
Then that's hard. Then that's what I'm saying. Like, that is stupid. There are a lot of dumb NFL teams that think they have a quarterback that they're going to pay all this money to. Joe Burrow deserves it, even though he has not amounted to as much. He has at least gotten to a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Right? Jared Goff has gotten to a Super Bowl and just took a team that had not made it to the playoffs in forever to an NFC championship game. Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. Jalen Hurts was a runner-up for MVP and got to a Super Bowl. I still don't know how Justin Herbert is the 4th highest paid quarterback in the NFL when he has amounted to nothing. Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence have both done the same things in their career.
Yeah.
Underachieved, and yet they are getting paid all this money. Now, I'm glad that it's a problem that we don't have to deal with. At least we think. We have to see if Jalen Hurts can return to form 2 years ago. But Jalen Hurts at least got paid for having an incredible season. Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert have never had incredible seasons that should have amounted this contract. The only reason why they got paid is based off of prototype.
100%.
That's horrible.
It is. And this is why I think there are a lot of dumb NFL organizations out there. There are a lot. There might be more dumb than smart.
Probably.
And the fact that people look at this and they say, oh, well, all these scouts and this GM that's getting paid all this money and an owner that's throwing money out there and all of this that goes into selecting these players, the draft process, the evaluation process, how much you see of them during their seasons before they get paid, you can't be wrong. I just think that there are really dumb teams out there. That's the basis of this getting paid early if you're a quarterback.
Tom, can you believe waking up this morning, depending on what time you went to bed last night, because it happened at 6:50 p.m., so I'm sure you weren't in bed yet, but I don't know.
Bed, no.
You're not used to these morning hours. When the news comes out last night that Trevor Lawrence gets a 5-year, $275 million extension, $200, which is guaranteed, dude.
I don't start work till 6:50 p.m. a lot of times here.
That's true. That's a good point.
Asleep. My first reaction, honestly, was, yeah, I kind of expected that because that's just the way that the NFL is nowadays. Now, look, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's probably wrong, but everybody wants to look at it. And I don't know if Howie had something to do with this a little bit with that Wentz signing where you sign the big deal early rather than late. So maybe Jacksonville's sitting there thinking, we could just wait till next year. What if Trevor Lawrence goes out there and has an MVP type season? Then they're talking themselves into, maybe we save ourselves $50 million if we just sign him now and take that risk with the guy who we drafted number 1 overall, who still has a ton of talent. This is just how it is, how the market is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Right.
But what happened? Who's going to be the next one? Jordan Love. 8 good games in his career.
Right, exactly.
But guess what's going to happen?
Because teams are so starved for quarterbacks. And I totally get it. I don't think it is bad to think, all right, we have a guy, we have to keep this guy because you only have so much time. It's not like baseball where you have 95 years before you have to pay a baseball player, right? You only have a limited time. And let's face it, 4-year contracts are really 3-year contracts in the NFL, right? If you have 1 year left on your deal, you better make that deal happen or you don't pay the guy or you get into the franchise tag, which is always a dangerous place to be because then the player feels a certain type of way and then they want to enter free agency. Look at what's going on with Dak Prescott soon with the Dallas Cowboys. Man, I just can't believe that Jacksonville made Trevor Lawrence. Good for Trevor Lawrence. Congratulations, brother. You're a rich man. They made him the highest paid quarterback on a year-to-year basis in the NFL when he has accomplished absolutely nothing. So I want to open this up. This is more of an open-ended conversation. Is there a solution to it? Try to think of some ideas during the break because here's the deal. The other attack you could have is signing Geno Smith to an extension, but you don't think you're ever going to win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith either. But does Trevor Lawrence scream to you highest paid quarterback in the NFL? He shouldn't, but he is. It's wild to me.
Yeah.
So is there a solution to all this? We'll get into more of this coming up next. You can climb in at 610-632-0975. We'll get to more of your texts about the Phillies and Eagles. We'll get to another random question out of the hat. Still a lot in store for you today on this Fanatic Friday on Kincade and Salciunas. Connor in for John right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies lose again. I'm Tom Alvord, and this update is brought to you
off today. Connor in for him. John taking care of some health stuff. He'll be back with us on Monday, so we're looking forward to that. We're talking about the Phillies and Eagles. No, it is not time to panic. No, we're not even asking the question whether or not it's time to panic. There's a tweet out there that says it's not time to panic.
No, it's not.
People. We asked the question, not even a question. We want to have a cordial conversation. For those of you who have concerns about the Phillies for whatever reason, feel free to bring it up, and we will have a cordial discussion about it. It was a tough series. It was an awful loss yesterday. That does not mean that the Phillies are now spiraling out of control when they just had a great series against the Milwaukee Brewers. They just took 2 of 3 against a hot Cardinals team that was coming into Philadelphia. And, yeah, you lost 2 of 3 against the Red Sox when you were coming back from London. There is literally data of the teams that have traveled abroad coming back, struggling the next 2 series. So, heads up, they might struggle against the Baltimore Orioles too,
right?
Who are a very good baseball team. You know what's going to annoy me? Because there are a lot of Phillies fans that are always worried or always pointing out flaws. There were people that were basically saying, "Oh, the Brewers are a fake first place team."
Yeah, like
if the Phillies lose to the Orioles, it's going to be, see, they can't beat the good teams. I know that's coming.
Right.
I know that's freaking coming. It's already bothering me.
I know, you're right. And let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope they go down there and take 2 or 3, maybe sweep them. Who knows? Like, the Phillies are good enough to play with them. But, yes, if they lose that series, it's going to be this team can't beat good teams. And that's just such a false narrative. But, whatever. I'm kind of... I can say in the moment right now I'm over it. I'm not going to be. I'm going to be mad at people on social media if they do that, but still.
And that's why we're trying to have a cordial discussion today. So if you do have concerns, feel free to let us know. We're talking Phillies, we're talking Eagles. Do you allow yourself to get excited with on-paper discussion? I say go for it, damn it. Don't let anybody tell you about what happened last year. Don't let anybody tell you about how we do the on-paper discussion every single year and it doesn't amount to Super Bowls except for one season. Just have fun. That's the point of being a fan. You can climb in on the text line, phone line, 610-632-0975. We'll get to some more random questions out of the hat. But I wanted to get in this quarterback discussion some more. Is there a solution in the NFL? If you're just tuning in, I went on a rant last segment. I've gone on this rant multiple times now. Trevor Lawrence is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL on an annual basis, making $55 million a year. And Trevor Lawrence has played 3 seasons in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence has had 1 above-average season that led them to a playoff victory, and that was it. And then 2 seasons where he played I would say well below expectation. As the guy that was supposed to be the next Peyton Manning. That's what people were calling him, right? The next Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning, I remember his rookie year had the all-time interceptions for a rookie.
Right.
And Trevor Lawrence led the league in interceptions his rookie season. He bounced back year 2. But then last year was kind of, nothing to get paid $55 million a year. But I know what we say all the time. Teams would rather think they have a quarterback than not. But, man, what did Trevor Lawrence do to get that kind of contract?
1 playoff comeback and have some good hair. I don't know what else to tell you.
And who's the team that he had to come back against?
The Chargers, who stink, with Justin Herbert, who also is the same guy, West Coast Trevor Lawrence.
Who's getting paid how much money? Close to $55 million a year. That's the thing. Great for Trevor Lawrence. He had that comeback win. The guy that he came back against is also getting paid that much money. And I know that it's the quarterback position. The quarterback position is the most valued position in all of sports. But at the same time, it's overvalued.
Now, this is a good thing for the Eagles right now.
Yes.
I know your conversation, it's commentary on the sport.
This is more of an NFL thing.
It's brain-numbing that these players are getting paid this much when we know they're not doing enough to deserve it.
Right.
But from an Eagles perspective, having paid Jalen Hurts, who you believe has done something to earn it, even if it was 1 season, he's done more than these guys to earn it.
Yes.
And you paid him at a lesser rate than what these guys are getting paid, and he's locked in. If Jalen Hurts is the guy, you're in a really good situation because all that's going to happen is everybody who gets paid from here on out is going to make insane money that kills the cap space of their team.
Oh, yeah, it's just going to keep on going up and up and up.
Unless, and there is a way that this can be a solution.
Okay.
You need teams to realize something, that they have a significantly better chance to win when the quarterback is on a rookie deal, to the point where it goes from these guys are getting paid an unreal amount and we have to pay them so we feel like we have a guy, to they're getting paid too much, we're not going to pay him anymore. and we're going to let them walk, and we're going to go get a rookie quarterback who we trust or a young quarterback who we trust, and then we're going to build the roster around them. Now, I don't know if that'll ever happen because passing's never going to get harder. They're not going to make new rules that make it like harder.
Yeah, it's getting easier for quarterbacks every year.
And I think that's a byproduct of the sport getting safer, too. Like, naturally, it just makes it easier for offenses.
Yeah, how many times have you heard if Dan Marino played in today's NFL?
Right. Like, they'd win a billion times.
Right.
So I don't think it'll ever be the position changes. I think that's on a one-way path and will not ever alter. But if you get enough franchises to say, hey, we need to win with a guy on a rookie deal, and the second you're ready to get paid, see ya, and that
but
works.
If you accomplish something, then yeah, like Jalen Hurts accomplished something. Here are the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Has Trevor Lawrence accomplished anything? He's number one. Okay.
No.
Joe Burrow has accomplished something. He got to a Super Bowl. He's number 2. Jared Goff has accomplished something. He is number 3. Has Justin Herbert accomplished anything?
Nope.
No.
He is the 4th highest paid quarterback. So far, through the first 4, we have had 2 quarterbacks accomplish, I'm saying anything. I'm not saying, Jared Goff has done a lot, actually, in the NFL in terms of championship appearances and getting to the Super Bowl. But I'm saying they have to accomplish just one time. One season they have to accomplish something.
By the way, we have not hit somebody with a ring.
Correct. Lamar Jackson is 5th. Has clearly accomplished something in the NFL.
Yes.
Jalen Hurts is 6th.
Yes.
So far out of 6 quarterbacks, 4 have accomplished something, 2 have not. What has Kyler Murray accomplished?
He's good at Call of
Prestige
Duty.
and Call of Duty.
Yes.
Damn it.
He's great at Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Got me.
What has Deshaun Watson accomplished?
No comment.
No comment.
Yeah, exactly. What has Kirk Cousins accomplished?
Big Coles
Making
guy.
a lot of money.
Notice the name that I haven't said yet. He comes in at number 10, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Now, that's annual, of course. Like long-term, he's made the most.
Absolutely. So that, in terms of
But
context,
still,
that's
it is
correct.
crazy.
But annual is what affects cap space the most.
Correct.
So
5 out of the 10 quarterbacks have not accomplished a single thing in the grand scheme. Like if we're saying, well, they had a winning season. Okay, yeah, that's great.
yeah.
5 out of the 10 quarterbacks have not even come close, I would say, to accomplishing the big picture. And that's not even Super Bowl. I'm saying getting to a championship game.
Guess
and
what?
they are paid huge money that affects their cap.
One of the top 10 has a ring.
Yeah, only one.
It's only Mahomes, right?
And only 4 made it to the Super Bowl. Burrow, Goff, Hurts, and Mahomes.
And that's why if you're a team that needs a quarterback, rather than paying somebody to make yourself feel safe and feel like, oh, we have a guy that we can put up on billboards and everyone will buy their jersey and maybe we'll win a playoff game, you should honestly be drafting 2 or 3 quarterbacks every year until you find the generational one. That's what I would do. And then when you do, you have 3 years to build that roster and you have 2 years to compete. And it seems like a kind of weird way to build a team to just go all in on one position. But that is how valuable quarterbacks are, and that is how overpaid they are.
I mean, if you're the Jaguars, so let's do this. Let's go through that top 10 list again. If you're the Jaguars and forget jersey sales, forget anything, would you have rather started over or paid Trevor Lawrence?
Started over.
Paid Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
I think I get what Connor's saying, and I think a lot of people do view it that way, where it's just draft quarterbacks, get them on their rookie contract. It's a lot easier said than done.
Right. It's a drastic move.
I know it is drastic.
For every, Brock Purdy, for every C.J. Stroud, there's Zach Wilsons, there's Sam Darnolds.
Well, that's why you take 3 of them.
And then you start over again.
And by the way, like NFL teams aren't going to like a locker room's not going to like that, where you're winning and you're getting to the playoffs, and then we can't pay our quarterback. Let's just draft this rookie to come in and try and win us a playoff game when all of us are in our prime trying to continue to make money.
Are the Jaguars winning?
They didn't last year, but they 2 years ago they were what? And they made it
to the second round of the playoffs after they had that incredible comeback because the Chargers were even worse.
The quarterback position obviously is so vital in the NFL, and I think teams look at it as a potential thing. Like Trevor Lawrence, like maybe it would make sense to draft a quarterback here. Trevor Lawrence might have more potential than any of these rookies.
Well,
that they
right,
like
potential,
Herbert.
and that's why you pay the guy. Like Justin Herbert, I would have paid. I'll be honest with you, even though I ripped Justin Herbert. And I think Brandon Staley was a horrible, horrible, horrible head coach. We'll see how he plays with Harbaugh out there.
Maybe.
But like Kyler Murray, start over or pay him.
Kyler Murray's done more than Justin Herbert's done today. Like, I would start over.
Okay.
With all three of these guys so far.
Kirk Cousins, pay or start over.
Bro,
now they're doing
fire into the
they're
sun.
They're kind of doing both.
You would start over with Justin Herbert after he's had that coaching. You don't want to see him with another coach before you let go of Herbert.
No, I would keep.
I'm
He's
sorry.
starting over.
And draft whoever, like Spencer Rattler. That's who you want to get.
Okay, not Spencer Rattler.
All right, Deion Sanders' son. We're going to go with Deion Sanders' son and hope he figures it out over
Prime says he's big time.
Overseeing if Herbert can work with another coach.
Bro, I think Herbert is not that good. I'm sorry. Maybe majorly undervaluing him, but my evaluation of NFL quarterbacks is binary. You can win a championship or you can't. Herbert is not going to win a championship. Trevor Lawrence is not going to win a championship. Kyler Murray is not going to win a championship. If they're not going to win a championship,
very confident with that.
Starting over.
Or are they not going to win a championship with what they've been given so far? If Justin Herbert's with the right coach, if Trevor Lawrence is with the right coach, if Matthew Stafford is with the right coach 10 years later, maybe they figure it out. And I think people value and should value
10 years later with a different team, too.
Sure, but I'm just saying, I think people... I'd rather figure it out with an all-time quarterback or at least a guy who has the all-time potential. Lawrence was number 1 overall pick. Herbert was top 5, probably would have went number 2 overall if that thing is redone. I just think you have to value potential and what a quarterback can be rather than, all right, it didn't work in the first couple years with a bad system. Let's just start over.
I got you. And then you pay the guy, and then if it doesn't work out, it's just another 3 or 4 years that you went down the line, and then you have to start
$300 million.
And then you have to start over again. Because now your entire team is 3 or 4 years older.
So I'm starting over quicker. I'm getting more bites at the apple.
That's pretty much what you're doing.
And I'm done faster than everybody who's spending their time paying a guy who's not going to win.
All right, let's continue the conversation. Climb in 610-632-0975. We'll get to some of your texts coming up next about our discussions today regarding the Phillies, Eagles, the overall NFL discussion that we have, and also questions out of the hat as we do every single Friday. And we have to get an update from Brendan Gunn. I don't even know if he's awake yet. He's on vacation, so I hope he's sleeping in. But we got to get an update on the cash out, if there still is one for B Gunn. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Connor, and for John right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, around the bases with Andrew Salciunas on is Kincade and Salciunas, Philadelphia Sports Talk, 97.5 The Fanatic.
It is 8:48 on Kincade and Salciunas. John off today. He'll be back on Monday. Connor in his chair. Tom Alvord producing the show today. Getting a lot of Phillies and Eagles discussion and overall NFL discussion about the quarterback position because Trevor Lawrence was overpaid last night. Overpaid to the tune of $55 million per year, which is the highest annual salary in the NFL. A guy that has barely accomplished anything. And I just wonder, is there a solution to that? And really the only solution is if you don't believe in the guy, you move on, you let him hit free agency, and then you try to draft a quarterback. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But, I feel like smarter. I don't know what the smart thing to do is. Both are a gamble. I don't know if any of them are smart.
Is it weird to say, right? Is this taking it too far? That for our lifetime, right? For our not even our lifetime as football fans, the only way to consistently win a championship is to get really, really, really lucky on one draft pick.
That's a big part of it.
That's the thing.
Or you sell out like the Rams did. Right, like the Rams traded everything away, built a super team. Now, we have seen super teams here that didn't pan out, but they built a super team and they won.
Right, I got you. But
now they're going to feel those effects for a while once Stafford's gone.
I'm saying win consistently. I think we're realizing as we get further away from 2017, that was amazing. We wouldn't trade it for anything, but it's not
that was not sustainable.
It's not the same as what Kansas City's doing. It's not the same as what New England did. And the only reason those guys are there is because they got unbelievably lucky. The Bears could have drafted Patrick Mahomes. They wanted Mitch Trubisky. They're idiots.
Yeah.
That's their fault. Anybody could have had Tom Brady. Drew Bledsoe goes down. You happen to find him. Those are the only dynasties in our lifetime. Like Peyton Manning won 2. They were in different spots.
2 different spots, yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger won, 2? But they were forever apart. And it's just
I feel like for the most part, it's getting lucky with that draft pick, but that draft pick is always a quarterback. Whether it's Russell Wilson in Seattle mid-rounds, whether it's Aaron Rodgers. You need a quarterback to win sustainably. That's what you need.
The number 1 overall pick is still a bit of a crapshoot. Your odds are better, but there's no such thing as a can't-miss talent, it seems like, anymore.
Right, and it feels like the only sport where, you can make it work in other sports easier than football if you don't have the quarterback.
Well, yeah, because baseball, you have 900 rounds in a draft.
Yeah.
You're going to find a guy, right? Your first round pick might not pan out, but your second and third and fourth. I saw somebody put out a tweet recently of the Phillies' 5th round picks over the last 10 years. And 6 or 7 of them are legitimate Major League Baseball players.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? They can't hit in the first round.
Right, exactly. They can't hit in the first round. So, yeah, it's if a missed first-round pick in the NFL can set you back quicker than basketball is pretty hard. Basketball, you got to hit. Unless you're the Miami Heat.
I think it's pretty hard in Philadelphia. I think you look
we're just cursed.
You look at other places. That's the thing. This is why basketball is, as much as quarterback's important, there is more that goes into it. They're just on a championship level, kind of the guy you have to have. In basketball, you get one guy, your team's totally changed. For some, if they're healthy. Embiid would be that guy if he could play. But LeBron's that guy.
So much.
Anthony Edwards was that guy in Minnesota this year. Jason Tatum was that guy for Boston when they drafted him. That changes everything.
I'm curious real quick when it comes to the contracts. Is it possible we see a little bit of an overcorrection from franchises where after a certain amount of time, franchises will realize that you can't just pay these guys who haven't accomplished anything 5 years, $300 million. I relate a little bit to baseball. We used to see 10-year deals given out every single offseason to players who did not deserve it. We're kind of going away from that in baseball. Now, I know, obviously, Ohtani gets one, Turner, Soto. The greats will get them, but I think we're starting to see people get away from paying these guys at 32 years old, $10 million. That took a while for that overcorrection to happen. Does that happen in the NFL?
I've asked that question, and Connor said no. John has said no. I asked Adam Schefter that question months ago, or whenever the show started, 2 months ago, and he straight up said, no, it's never going to change because the cap will always go up. Money's going to keep on coming in the NFL. The quarterback position is so valued.
For every franchise that won't pay a guy, there's 3 dumb franchises that'll throw the bag at him.
Right.
So
it's crazy. If the Jags did not give this extension to Trevor Lawrence, another team would have paid Trevor Lawrence
100%.
probably $55 million a year. it's just amazing to me that these guys will keep on getting these contracts without accomplishing anything. All right, give us another random question out of the hat, Tom, and then next segment we'll really start hitting the text line heavy.
All right, one question out of a hat here. Some of these papers are different sizes, making it difficult here. All right, if any of the teams move to another city, would you still be a fan of those teams?
Oh, we did that. Oh, move to another city.
So if the Sixers move to Seattle.
Are they replaced by another team in the city, or is there just a void of NBA basketball?
On this tiny paper, it doesn't say.
I would say... No, I guess I would say no. I would not be a fan of them anymore because they left us, so that means they would be a mortal enemy. Now, I would still root for Joel Embiid because it wasn't his decision to leave Philadelphia to go to Seattle.
Okay.
I would dislike the Harris Blitzer group for it's like the Eagles almost did that, right? They almost moved to Arizona, right? Like, could you imagine if that happened? Like, it wouldn't be the players' fault; it would be the organization's fault that did it.
I think I would still root for the team unless they're replaced by another team. Like if the Sixers went to Seattle and then another basketball team came to Philly, I'm now a fan of the team that plays in Philly, and I hate the Sixers. But if no other NBA team comes here, I would remain a Sixers fan.
Yeah, I probably agree with Connor because you got to root for somebody.
Dude,
what am I
just
rooting
gonna
for the
not watch
Celtics or
basketball?
something because they're close?
Ask a Chargers fan. I don't think they like the Chargers anymore.
They got to.
That's at least close enough, though.
Yeah.
That's like moving from Philly to Delaware, I feel like.
They never
Well,
had fans to begin with, so
San
it's
Diego
hard
was a
to
good
tell.
San Diego's a good fan base.
Small stadium.
They
They
were
the powder blue makes it look like there's more people than there are.
They were a good fan base, dude.
That big dude in the lightning bolt costume.
Yes. I don't think I would still be a fan, no. Even though I put so many years and time and money into these teams.
So basketball season rolls around. Who do you root?
Yeah, Sixers move to Seattle. Who are you rooting for next year?
I would just watch the sport. I do still just watch the sport.
Would you be like players where you would be
You'd be a
Mavericks
Luka fan.
Yeah, because of Luka.
Yeah, I'm a big Luka guy. Go Mavs. And wherever Lithuanian is. Like, I would support the Lithos.
I wonder if that's how people become like player centric. Is they like move as a kid or something?
I think there's a lot of kids that are just frauds, and then they grow, and then they eventually grow up and they realize, oh, I should just be a fan of the team that I'm supporting of.
Gotcha. It's an interesting question though. Let's hope we never have to go through.
Yeah, let's hope so. All right, coming up next, we reset the entire show. I gotta get an update from Brendan Gunn. He just texted me back. I'll remind you what the cash out option was. And that Connor and I were correct. And where it's at now. So we'll give you an update on the cash out for Brendan Gunn and a whole lot more. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies blown out. I'm Tom.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. John out today. Connor in for John. Tom Alvord sitting in Connor's chair today. So we'll hear from Tom in a second about our text messages that are coming in. But I do want to let you know we have FanFest tickets to give away. We still have 2 pairs to give away at some point this hour. FanFest coming our way September 28th at Xfinity Live, presented by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. You know the deal. We'll be hanging out there. There's going to be guests. There's going to be celebrities. There's going to be former athletes. There's going to be games. There's going to be beers. There's going to be a lot of fun, so I can't wait for it. We'll give away 2 pairs of FanFest tickets at some point this hour before we head away for the weekend. And then Ray Dunn, who is filling in for Bob, will be doing the show with Bill Colarulo today.
That'll be a fun listen.
It will be, so make sure you are listening today at 10 o'clock. In a few minutes, I got to give you the update on Brendan Gunn, our associate producer of the show, who is it's a rough time right now. He is in Boston. He's taking a few days off. He's in Boston. He was at that Phillies game last night. That was horrible. He's going to be in town if Boston sweeps the Celtics, or if the Mavericks. And he's going to have to watch the celebration.
Yeah, that's the worst vacation I've ever heard of.
It actually sounds pretty terrible. Like, I was in New York the first Giants Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Yeah.
But for the first half of the game.
How much did they care? Because that's a split city, too. Was it like the city was taking
rocking.
over?
It was rocking. Yeah.
Okay.
I still remember because I was really sick. My sister was doing these college things for singing, and I had to go to all these places. New York City, it's kind of cool. And then I ended up getting sick. It was horrible. And I'm sitting at the hotel bar because we already checked out watching the first half of the Super Bowl, and everybody's going nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I hate all of you people. Go Birds. Like,
this is why. That is the origin of your hatred for the Giants. Or did it exist before that?
No, that's exactly what it... No, Cowboys came first, but then when I watched an inferior team win 2 Super Bowls...
I think it's a traumatic experience.
Yeah, it's horrible.
No, you were sick and your tummy was upset, and then you watched the Giants lose, and then you forgot the Cowboys are the bigger rival.
No, it wasn't just that. The Giants freaking won 2 Super Bowls when the Eagles owned that team, but they won 2 Super Bowls. It's unbelievable. Sports is stupid. All right, what do we have on the text line there, Tommy?
All right, we got a couple Phils and a couple Burrs. Anyone you want first in particular?
You lead the way.
Okay, if you say so. All right, this one's, I've been kind of saving this one. This one's interesting, and it's based off the quarterback conversation. This is from Frank in Philly. Andrew, how do you have this much confidence in Jalen Hurts? You just called Baker Mayfield a bum. You know Baker Mayfield passed for 4,000 yards twice in the NFL. Baker Mayfield just beat Jalen Hurts in the playoffs, right? Your projection of Hurts is because of the roster he has. Jalen Hurts is an average quarterback at best, and the talent it doesn't make sense. The only reason you projected him in the top eight quarterback, that's nuts. He's 12 to 15.
I saw Matt Schaub throw for 4,770 yards in a season.
Didn't Jameis Winston clear 4,000?
Yes. I've seen a lot of quarterbacks throw for over 4,000 yards that I never thought would win a Super Bowl. I like Baker Mayfield. Liked him a lot coming out of college. Thought much more highly of him than what he has actually turned out to be. He is a starting quarterback in the NFL. Baker Mayfield does not scream Super Bowl winning quarterback to me.
Nope.
It's a reason why he's bounced around. Jalen Hurts, I saw play in the Super Bowl. Now, I understand recency bias. This guy's saying, well, didn't Baker Mayfield just beat Jalen Hurts? Baker Mayfield beat an Eagles team that was spiraling out of control. A horrible decline. A million reasons why that team ended up not even showing up to a playoff game, and we hope that they get past that this year. I would take Jalen Hurts over Baker Mayfield a million times out of a million.
Absolutely, and I don't even have to think twice about it.
Like, don't give me numbers, especially when Hurts does so much more than Baker Mayfield. Like,
numbers are not the end-all, be-all. You know what comes before numbers in my mind? And maybe this is a fault of ours, because I know John, who normally sits in this chair, big numbers guy.
Mm-hmm.
I trust my eyes significantly more than any stats ever going to tell me. I watch Baker Mayfield play football. I can tell you whether or not that guy stinks. I don't think he stinks, but, like, I'm taking Hurts over him a billion times out of a billion.
By the way, Jameis Winston once threw for over 5,000 yards.
Oh, okay.
5,109 yards in the 2019 season.
Eagles should go get him.
Is that when he had 30 picks and 30 touchdowns?
Led the NFL with 30 interceptions. So, like, just because of yards, Does that mean Jameis Winston is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts? Like, come on, that is naive to say that. It is not smart to just point out the numbers. No, I don't believe Baker Mayfield will ever accomplish more than what Jalen Hurts has already accomplished in the NFL through just 3 years as being a starting quarterback.
Yeah, bro. What's Tampa's path to the Super Bowl? What's Tampa's path to the NFC Championship game? Like, it does not exist.
Dude, Baker Mayfield took over for a team that won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. The only reason why was because Brady was ancient. And so it was time for them to find a quarterback. He took over that team. And what did it do? They didn't win. They won a playoff game against a horrible Eagles team down the stretch.
And a big thing here, Tampa is choosing Jalen Hurts over Baker Mayfield if they had the choice. If they had the choice, they are taking Jalen Hurts.
There's not even a question.
America is choosing Jalen Hurts over Baker Mayfield. Everybody knows he's better.
Look,
sorry, Frank from Philly.
And I get it, Frank. I've said this a couple times. I don't think Jalen Hurts is the greatest quarterback in the NFL.
No.
I think he's a top 10 quarterback. Yeah.
Hater.
I think he's a top 10 quarterback. When we did, wasn't Frank? Frank.
Yeah, Frank was 12 to 15.
Frank texted in the other day. He believes that Jalen Hurts is in the 12 to 15 range
he said
of
the same
quarterbacks.
thing in that text, yeah.
And he had Baker Mayfield and Trevor Lawrence ahead of Jalen Hurts, and I thought that was ridiculous. So Frank obviously does not really like Jalen Hurts all that much. I don't think as highly of Jalen Hurts as a lot of Eagles fans do. But I still have him as a top 10 quarterback. I don't think that's a slight. Like, go ahead, use the hater word. Like, I understand. Oh, what, you don't think he's top 2? Like, no, I don't. I don't think he's a top 2 quarterback in the NFL. He is in the mix to be in 5th out of the top 5.
He doesn't need to be a top 2 quarterback in the NFL. If he's top 7 consistently over the next half decade here, this team's going to win some games.
Which I expect him to. And if he is not, then we have bigger problems on our hands. But I expect him to.
Yeah, and Tom and I used to have this argument. We had this argument Game 1, 2022 season on the Fanatic Birds postgame show.
All right.
Where we got into a screaming match after they beat the Lions because I said Jalen Hurts has to be able to compete with the likes of Patrick Mahomes. He has to be a Patrick Mahomes caliber quarterback if you're going to win a championship. Tom was like, that's an unfair ask. And at that time, it might have been. It's just poetic justice that at the end of that season, we saw Jalen Hurts go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes on the biggest stage.
He outdueled him.
Well, I'm being fair, toe-to-toe. I think he outdueled him as well. My point is, I want to hear this from Frank from Philly because I want him to type these words out to understand how asinine this sounds. Tell me Baker Mayfield's going to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Never going to happen.
Type that out on your phone and decide if you want to send that text.
That is not going to happen. Absolutely. All right, what else do we have on the text line, Tom?
All right, we got a Phillies one here. It's from Brian in Collegeville. Not concerned about the Phillies due to their lineup and Marsh and Turner coming back. All the series they've lost were away games, and the home plate umpire hurt them last night big time with some critical missed calls. So, Brian, not concerned about your Philadelphia Phillies.
Once again, they didn't lose yesterday because of the umpire.
Nah.
All the other things that he mentioned is why they lost. Their starting lineup last night. Schwarber. Like Castellanos was in the 2-hole. All right. Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper. Bryson Stott was your 4-hole hitter last night. I like Bryson Stott. 4-hole hitter?
Not exactly.
Edmundo Sosa batted 5th. David Dahl batted 6th. Whit Merrifield batted 7th. Garrett Stubbs, Johan Rojas. Like, that's why they lost yesterday.
If you told me that lineup on April 1st, I would think it's an April Fool's joke.
Like, you think this team was like 500 or worse at that point if you heard that. Yes.
Yeah. No,
that's why they lost. When Turner comes back, to his point, when Brandon Marsh comes back, you're going to have a better team. When JT Realmuto eventually comes back, remember, this team is 46-22 because of those guys playing together.
That's still, I'm not a big math guy. That's still 24 games above 500.
That is still 24 games above 500.
Second best record in baseball.
Yeah, that is correct. All right, we'll get back to some more texts, and we'll get to another question out of the hat, but I got to give you the update on Brendan Gunn. So our associate producer, Tom, did you know of the ticket?
Yes, I was listening on my way in here the other day.
Well, thank you. We appreciate the support.
Yeah, first time. It was nice.
First time listener, long time caller.
I'll text us sometime.
So B Gunn had a ticket that had the Chiefs winning this past Super Bowl, which was correct. Was there other one that already hit?
Yeah, it was UConn.
UConn.
Right.
He had UConn winning the national championship. So he had UConn and the Chiefs already locked in. He has still in the future the Phillies to win the World Series, Georgia to win the national championship game in football.
Yep.
The two that are active Boston to win the NBA Finals, and they are 1 win away from it. And Edmonton to win the Cup, who are currently down 3-0 in their series to the Florida Panthers. So, we had this discussion yesterday? 2 days ago.
Yes.
We had this discussion 2 days ago, whether or not he should have cashed out. So, he put down $1 on this bet. And if it were to all hit perfectly, his $1 bet would have won him over $46,000. All right? That would have been a nice payday.
Pretty good. One you should root for on a coworker.
Yeah, and coworkers here, for whatever reason, were rooting against him, which I think is horrible, Haley. Clearly, Edmonton, before being down 3-0, was down 2-0. And you and I tried telling him to cash out. Now, the cash out option wasn't life-changing money. It was $144. So let me ask you, Tom, would you have cashed out a $1 bet that would have won you $144, even though the overall payout would have been $46,000 had it hit, knowing that Edmonton was down 2-0 in the series?
I would not have.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I still felt good about Edmonton in that series. Not as good as John Kincade, but I still felt good about Edmonton.
Well, yeah, I mean, Johnny the K's going, I'm guaranteeing a win. Edmond's going to win. Guarantee.
I swear. I will tune in Monday from the Outer Banks on the app, ruin his Monday, politely, ruin the guarantee of the game by John Kincade cannot go lost in this.
That I would still feel good enough about that because I would have trusted Edmonton that I wouldn't have cashed out, but I have no problem with people cashing out there.
So he doesn't cash out. Boston ends up winning Game 3. I did not find out if it went up more because it was. I thought it wouldn't have. I don't know if it did or if it didn't because basically the book would sit on the Edmonton.
Right, you're anchored to the 2-0 deficit,
not the 3-0 lead for Boston. Right, so if anything, it would have gone up maybe $20. He didn't cash out. Edmonton loses last night. They're now down 3-0 in the series. Do you want to take a guess what the cash out option is now? The $1 bet that at one point the cash out was in the 300s. It's now down to, what do you think?
I would say $8.
There is a cash out option?
There is not. Zilch.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say crazy to give him a cash out.
He has no cash out option, as I imagined. And now we just have to hope and pray that Edmonton makes this a series.
Well, you're not going to watch anyway, so
I'm not going to, and I think the series should be over. By my logic, Edmonton should just pack up shop because it's only happened one time ever in this history of the NHL, and that was, of course, the Flyers doing it. I know they have the best player in the world on that team, but sometimes the best player in the world doesn't win right away. They have to lose first, and then they win down the road. It's over.
You never know,
gone, man.
It's probably over. You never
probably.
Know.
It's over.
I'm still rooting for the kid.
Yeah,
I hope they come back.
Of course, I'm rooting for the kid, but it's just
he should have listened to the cash out.
He should have. $144. He's out in Boston right now with his girlfriend. He could have gotten. That's a nice dinner.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
that's probably more than or that's not more than a nice dinner. That would cut into a nice dinner in Boston. Boston's not a cheap city to be.
You go for a nice lunch. You get a couple lobster rolls. You can get that done. A couple drinks.
So the basis is Brendan's selfish and he's a bad boyfriend. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
No, don't turn that on him. Poor guy.
Saying that. All right, give us another text there, Tommy, and then we'll get another question out of the hat on this Fanatic Friday.
All right, we have one from Blaine in Kentucky. I know he texts you guys a good amount.
What's up, Blaine?
Just on the depth chart, I believe it's alarming if Mitchell doesn't start the majority of the season. The reason I say this is I think it's essential to his development, getting playing time. He can't learn and progress on the sidelines, so you expect him early and often. And then I think that shows the front office isn't as high on him and as we all are. And that's the big thing to me. I don't really the progression's fine. If he's not starting week 4, that's a guy who was the first corner drafted.
Well, what if Ringo's playing really well?
That's the first corner drafted in the draft.
But if Keely Ringo's playing really well, would you take him out?
So your first-round corner sitting on the bench?
Well, here's the tough thing.
He'd be rotation. I mean, he would get on the field. He would play snaps.
It goes into the Jordan Davis conversation from his rookie year in 2022 when he got injured, and then they brought in Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. Jordan Davis absolutely had every right to be playing snaps on that team.
Yeah.
And he got minimal because they realized that team was a Super Bowl contender.
And ready to win.
And they wanted veterans in there. It wasn't so much a knock on Jordan Davis as it was these guys have been around the block. I think you could see that with this team if they don't start Quinyon Mitchell. Now, I think he's going to start week 1.
Well, it's not like Ringo's this vet that.
But he's been here before.
But that's the big thing. I mean, a little bit different positions. I've seen cornerbacks, top corners, come into this league and dominate right away. Guys like Sauce Gardner, guys like Devin Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez.
Christian Gonzalez was great until he got hurt.
Yeah, exactly. So, like,
and that's who I wanted in the draft last year.
What does that say about Quinyon Mitchell, the first corner drafted in the NFL draft this past season, if a fourth-round, second-year player is beating you out? That, to me, that worries me a little bit, I'll be honest.
You would be worried by week 1 or week 4?
No, like ideally,
again, week 4, if Keely Ringo's playing well, then what are you going to do? Like, it might not be Mitchell's fault. It might just be, hey, we got to, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That is a huge asset to use on a team that is trying to win a Super Bowl at that position where you need a difference maker, and you've needed one for a long time.
But if Keely Ringo is playing as that difference maker, then what does it matter? You didn't just draft him for just 2024.
To be the better player, though?
It's supposed to be Quinyon Mitchell. But if they wanted to ease him into the NFL or something, and Keely Ringo's playing well, we could do just bench him just to bench him.
You're both
no
right.
reason. You're going 100 miles an hour right away. Sorry, buddy.
You're both right, and that's why I'm right. Because I said Quinyon Mitchell's starting for this team. They're not going to give Keely Ringo the opportunity to play over him. They're not. And if Quinyon Mitchell is not good enough, you have Keely Ringo to fall back on. But because of your argument, if Keely Ringo plays well and Quinyon Mitchell's stuck on the bench, it kills his development right off the bat, he is going to be a starting outside corner for this team.
I mean, it's not like this is a Bryce Harper's missing week 1, the first week of the season, and Cody Clemens is hitting the ball so well, you don't start Bryce Harper right away. This is a rookie in the NFL. Like, it is. You still have to earn your job.
Well, he will earn his job.
Yeah, and I expect him to. I think he's going to be a good football player.
And he's going to be
I wouldn't be concerned by it.
No.
I wouldn't be concerned by it.
I would.
All right, give us a question out of the hat there, Tom.
All right, question out of the hat. Let's see what we have here. This is build your starting 5, but you have to pick one player from each decade, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. I'm guessing, obviously, this is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes. I think it's all. Is it all basketball or is it just Sixers?
It doesn't specify.
My guess would be Sixers when I wrote this down.
Okay.
Yeah, my guess would be Sixers.
Okay.
All right, so we got to build. All right, we got to think. I got to do this during the break.
Well,
I can't do this.
Do you want me to put this back in the hat?
No.
Okay.
I want to expand on this because I want to write these down. I want all three of us to write these down.
It's pretty easy to start. 2000s and 2010s are no problem.
All right, well, don't say it just yet. I don't know, man.
If we don't have the same two players.
What NBA are we playing in? Are we playing in?
What NBA are we
Look,
playing
man, Tobias Harris is a great fit with any team.
Yeah, exactly. He is. He's a great.
Can I get 2 Tobias Harrison? Do you play?
Can Andre Krylenko be on there because he was once a Sixer? Never playing a game, but he was once a Sixer. All right, we'll give these answers coming up next, and then we'll also get another question of the hat because that's what we do on Fridays. Still to come, we have the Key 3, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3, and also our crossover. Now we got to find out: are we crossing over with Ray or are we crossing over with Bill? They might need to do rock paper scissors before they come in here because Bob Cooney off today, John Kincade off today, Connor sitting in John's chair today. You can climb in on the text line 610-632-0975. It is Kincade and Salciunas. Connor in for John right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Up.
Okay, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right. Connor, give me a number. Tom, give me a number.
6.
5.
All right, callers 5 and 6 to the contest line. 215-263-0975. Callers 5 and 6 to the contest line will win today's pairs of FanFest tickets. So caller 5 will win a pair. Caller 6 will win a pair at 215-263-0975. FanFest, of course, coming our way September 28th. Saturday, September 28th. The weekend, the Eagles take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it will be hopefully a sea of red and a sea of green at FanFest, presented by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Can't wait for it. Year 11 of FanFest. Unreal.
Wait, that's the weekend they play Hall of Fame quarterback Baker Mayfield?
According to our man Frank on the text line, yes. Baker Mayfield, Mr. 4,000 yards. Great quarterback that he is, will be going up against the Eagles that week.
I love Frank, by the way. I don't give him a lot of grief.
It's okay to have fun. Like, look, I hear the amount of nasty stuff we see on a daily basis. That's nothing, man. Just disagreeing about sports takes. It's all good, man. All right. So our latest question out of the hat was building the starting 5, but you have to pick a player from each decade beginning in the 70s. So we have no Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
All right. So Wilt is not in this conversation because there's only 5 decades we could choose from. So 70s, 80s, 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. I will start. Tom, do you have yours?
I do.
Because Connor thinks he won already.
Easily.
I think we're all going to be really similar.
Yes.
We probably will be.
Yeah. Do you want mine or?
Yeah.
Okay. One by one or the whole thing?
Go point guard and give me the player and the decade and everything.
Point guard will go Hal Greer in the 70s.
Okay. See, we're already different.
Yes, we are.
All right. Keep going.
Okay. Shooting guard, Allen Iverson.
Okay.
2000.
Same.
Dr. J, Julius Erving, you may have heard of him, in the 80s. That's forward. Forward number 2, Charles Barkley in the 90s, and then our own Joel Embiid at the center position.
All right. Connor.
See, the only change I have is I have Hal Greer playing shooting guard, and I have Allen Iverson at the point.
Oh, my God.
It's the same exact list other than that. Dr. J, Barkley, Embiid.
Don't worry, old heads. I got you. None of you have Mo Cheeks at point guard?
Sorry, bro.
Well, you got to choose him over
either AI or Hal Greer. Hal Greer is the all-time leading scorer for this team. Oh, don't you roll your eyes at Hal Greer.
I got AI at the shooting guard, and I have a great point guard alongside him in Mo Cheeks.
Mo Cheeks is a great player. He's a great point guard. He's Bob Cooney's favorite player, right?
When do you classify him in the 70s? He played like two seasons in the 70s.
Okay, he played in the 70s.
Wow.
Hal Greer also played like 2 seasons in the 70s.
Yeah, don't
he started his season. He started his career in 1958, dude.
He's an Iron Man. I don't know what to tell you. I went Hal Greer because I thought Mo Cheeks wouldn't classify as the 70s.
Okay, but I could have said Mo Cheeks as the 80s and have Dr. J in the 70s. Either one works because they both played in both decades. So I have Cheeks, Iverson, Dr. J, Barkley, and Embiid.
Bro, I wish the rap scene was like bigger when Mo Cheeks played like it is today because that would have been a great bar.
How do you say I got you old and then choose Mo Cheeks over Hal Greer?
I got
it.
There's probably people freaking out.
Younger player.
That makes no sense.
I got you guys. Don't worry. Mo Cheeks, point guard. And that's my squad. By the way, it is both Amy Fadul and Bill Colarulo today.
Oh, okay.
On the midday show with Ray Dunn producing. My bad. I don't check the schedule. I know where I'm supposed to be.
How many people do they have on that show?
A lot. I know where I'm supposed to be and when. I don't check the schedule anymore. I'm here.
Proud of you.
Must be nice. Big shot.
Yeah, that's me, Mr. Big Shot. All right, give us another question out of the hat and let us know if we have any texts coming in about our Phillies and Eagles discussions on this Fanatic Friday.
All right, I'll start with the hat here. Question out of the hat. Different size paper than the last 4 papers I've gotten. You have 1 week to yourself with no responsibilities. What are you doing? My goodness. Connor, this is your week every week. So.
Absolutely. What do you mean this is my week every week? I'll start calling you at 4 a.m. when I wake up.
Yeah, this is you're basically you're on vacation for a full week.
Yeah, I'm about to be. Sleep in. If I might just I am going to sleep and not set an alarm. And when I wake up, I'm going to drink enough beers that I fall back asleep, and then I'm going to continue to do that until I have to go back to work.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that enjoyable? That doesn't sound enjoyable at all,
dude. I mean,
like it's okay to be sober, Connor.
No, I know, I know.
Like it's all right. Like it's okay. Like not having
do it.
Beer in your system at. Well, what time is waking up for you? Because I don't sleep in even pre-Cooper, like I was probably up at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Naturally, it's not like I set an alarm on a weekend when I didn't have a kid.
Like when I was working nights, I'd get done here 10:30, get home by. I'd stay up till 3. I would sleep till about 2 p.m. Like
your day's gone.
So I mean, I'm tired. I don't know.
But you're like if you're off on a Tuesday, you're not. Not many people are going to the bar Tuesday night till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, I'll admit something. You want me to come out and say it? I don't know how to vacation. I don't know how to do it. I haven't been on vacation.
Don't know how to vacation.
I don't go on vacation.
All right, this guy, he loves golfing. You didn't even say golf once.
Mentioned golf.
You literally said drink beer and go back to sleep. That sounds horrible.
I golf once a week already. The only thing
you have a full week. You could golf 3 times if you wanted. No responsibilities whatsoever.
I can do that within the realm of my current schedule. The only thing that this schedule on the morning show does not allow me to do is drink during the week and sleep into a normal hour.
Dude, I'll be honest, it has not stopped me from drinking during the week.
The only thing you would do differently is drink more beer and sleep a little bit later.
I'm a simple man, dude. That's all I need in my life.
Like, you wouldn't go to the beach?
Sorry, I don't need the frills of your guys' modern society.
You wouldn't walk around, like, just go for a walk?
Maybe. Like, I don't know. Listen, dude. I went on a trip
to the bar.
Yes.
I went on a trip to Tampa earlier this year. I had like 2 or 3 days off. I flew down there. I just sat on the beach. I went to a bar.
Okay.
That sounds good.
That sounds good.
I don't know.
That's more
I didn't do anything different than I do
I'm
here.
going to drink myself back to sleep at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That was a bit of embellishment.
That's what you said.
I know. I'm saying that was a bit of it. I would rest.
Tom, you have a full week, no responsibilities to yourself. You do whatever the hell you want.
There would be a lot of beach time. There would be a lot of golf. There would be a lot of getting dinner alone at a bar, which I enjoyed doing very much, and just watching a ball game. And a lot of Xbox late till like 3 a.m.
See, the video game is a big one for me. Like, I love being a dad. Okay, I love my son. I wouldn't trade him for the world.
If you say so.
The days of just being able to be like, I got nothing going on. I'm going to play 6 hours of this game. Some days I miss those days. Now it's, all right, I put Cooper to bed. He's asleep by 8. Christy and I talking for like an hour. It's like, all right, do you mind if I fire up 2K or something? I'm in the first half of the game, and I'm like, all right, it's time for me to go to bed. Like, though, I do kind of miss those days.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Now, sleep, a little beer. I could mix some video games in there. I'm adding some stuff as we go through it.
All right, well, that's good. Give us another one. Why not? We got the Key 3 coming up in about 10 minutes, and we have our crossover with whoever wants to be the one that comes in here. They can decide. I'm not going to make Ray, Bill, or I'm not going to pick Ray, Bill, or Amy. I'm going to let them decide. Whoever wants to do the crossover, whoever wants to act like they're friends with us, can be the one that comes in during the crossover.
Hopefully not Ray Dunn.
Okay, the next question. Who would you prefer to have come in? Name it.
No,
I'm kidding.
Just said I'm not doing
that. You had
that.
a chance to get him there.
I did, yes. All right, next one out of a hat. First and current celebrity crush. So your first celebrity crush and your current celebrity crush.
My first was 100% Emma Watson.
Okay.
Because I'm a big Harry Potter guy. So, like, obviously, I'm probably their age, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think they're
probably.
like 30.
Mid-30s,
right?
maybe.
So, like, I kind of, like, grew up. Yeah, she's 34, so she was older than me, too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so,
Cougar.
Yeah, well, my wife's older than me, so, like, I'm clearly into that kind of stuff.
Makes sense.
She's just 3 weeks older than me.
How about current?
I don't know. There's a million to choose.
That's a great call. Say Christy. Say Christy.
No, celebrity crush. She's not a celebrity.
She's a celebrity to you.
Like, I'm a big Kelsey Plum fan.
You are.
But I don't know if she's one seed.
Yeah, number one, though,
Like-
man. That's heavy.
Like when Tyrone did something a couple weeks ago where it was when the Darren Waller thing came out.
Yeah.
He said if you had to sing for somebody, who would it be? And my first thought was Salma Hayek too. Like,
It's not bad.
But I don't know exactly like I don't know who number one is for me right now.
Yeah, the OG.
Oh wait, no, Sydney Sweeney.
Stop stealing mine.
No, Sydney. I'm sorry.
That's mine,
because
too.
the algorithm has become Sydney Sweeney on the timeline. Like if we're being honest with
Yeah,
ourselves.
she's taken over. So she's 1-1 for like everybody right now. My OG, Carrie Underwood.
Really?
Yeah,
That was your
100%.
OG?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Did you like go poster? You have a Carrie Underwood poster?
No, I never did, but I remember watching the season of American Idol she was on. And young Connor was very much rooting for her to win.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's different. I have not really heard, I don't think I would have heard Carrie Underwood by a lot of people.
She's gorgeous. What do you mean?
Jeez.
Jessica Alba Early 2000s, Fantastic
Okay.
Four. That was the first celebrity.
Great call.
Big, yeah. And current.
We already said it.
Sydney Sweeney. Yeah.
Oh, we
We're
all
all
said
on
it.
the same
Okay.
page.
All right. There is one other childhood one. It was Jessica Biel.
Yep, up there as well.
Jessica Biel in Summer Catch. Anyone know what I'm talking about?
Quite the catch.
Yeah. You know, that movie came out in 2001. So I was like 7 or 8, and I think I
And a
7 or
baseball
8.
movie, too.
It was
so
a
you're
baseball
excited.
movie, and I saw Jessica Biel like swimming.
Oh my God.
What?
Brain started working.
Yeah.
Gears started grinding.
I think that's what I discovered. That's when I discovered what a woman was. Was at the age of 7 or 8 watching a movie that was way too inappropriate for an 8-year-old. But because it was a baseball movie, my dad thought it was okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, where were your
All right,
parents?
better baseball first crush then. Wendy Peppercorn, whatever it is.
I think it's peppercorn.
Is it peppercorn?
I think peppercorn is something
yeah,
you put on
peppercorn
food.
is a seasoning.
Wendy Peppercorn or Jessica Biel. in
Jessica
Summer
Biel.
Catch?
Peppercorn.
Not even close for me. Not even close for
Peppercorn
me.
was top tier.
Not even a
Did anyone
second
drown
thought.
in that movie for Jessica Biel?
No, but
Yeah, exactly.
But Freddie Prinze Jr. was 2 outs away from a perfect game, and he left to go here at the airport.
That's stupid. That's
You'd rather go
stupid.
perfect game
Wait,
than find the love of your
wait,
life?
wait.
Absolutely.
I haven't seen that movie in so long. Is that actually how it ends?
Yeah, he was throwing a perfect game,
That movie should
and
be
there was
burned
a
forever.
Philly scout there. I still remember because he pitched for the Phillies and gave up
Yeah.
the home run to Ken Griffey Jr. at the end of the movie. There was a Philly scout there. It was the guy from Scrubs. He was the scout, and
J.D. Heffron was the guy, or not J.D. Heffron. What's his name? J.D. is his name of the show.
I know Zach Braff. That's all.
Zach
I know.
Braff. That's who it is.
not the main character.
Donald Faison?
The doctor.
the
What the
guy
hell
that
is
plays Dr. Cox.
I never watched the show.
Okay, I don't know. We'll move on.
John C. McGinley. Yes, Perry played
Yes.
Perry Cox.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the scout for the Phillies, and
We're in a
Freddie
wild
Prinze
rabbit hole right
Jr.
now.
walked off the field as he was throwing a perfect game because he wanted to go to the airport to stop Jessica Biel from flying away.
That
Can
girl
you
should leave him.
imagine?
That girl should leave him. She should ask him, how'd the game go?
Can
Oh,
you-
I was throwing a perfect game and I left.
Imagine Ranger Suarez is perfect through 8 2/3 tonight, and we find out he leaves the game midway through because he goes to
As
get a
long
girl
as
at
the job
airport.
gets done.
No.
Trade him.
No, you bring in Jeff Hoffman,
Nope.
you get the job done.
No.
That's what they did in the
Nope.
movie.
That's
The
selfish.
closer came out, and the closer got the job done. You got to trust you. You got to trust your teammates sometimes.
Selfish.
No, you don't. How's
Stay
it
on the
selfish?
field.
That's actually probably the most selfless thing in the world.
Yeah, to her, not to your teammates, who are more important. Damn it.
Wow, Andy doesn't care about the game.
Well, dude, if it's Jessica Biel, I don't care about the game at all. All right,
Or
coming up next, it's the key. Oh yeah, I love you. It's the key three. Kincade Salciunas key three. Connor obviously in for John today, and then we will do our crossover with whoever feels the need to walk in here between Ray, Amy, and Bill. We'll let them decide. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Fanatic Friday, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Batalico.
When Nick Castellanos is starting to give you baseball answers, you better open up your eyes because something's going on with this team that is.
Salciunas on this Fanatic Friday. John off today. He'll be back on Monday. Connor has been in his seat today, this morning, whatever.
Yeah, tonight, close
Maybe
enough.
I never went to bed. Tom Alvor's been producing. So, Tom, it's time to push the magic button. Here's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best. Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3.
There it is.
Today's
Sorry about
best.
that. I get a string of tweets about how this team is struggling or not playing good baseball. And you're right. Not like they're playing the best of baseball right now. But what they did at the start of the season allows you to have a stretch like this and still have a ridiculous lead over your second place team in your division. I mean, it's amazing. So May 22nd, right? So that was not even a month ago, close to a month ago. Alec Bohm was hit 330. Today, we wake up, he's hitting 286. That means in the 3 weeks since that date, he's batted 164. During that stretch, he has not been good.
Right.
Am I about to sit here and say, trade for a third baseman? Alec Bohm stinks. He shouldn't be batting in this spot of the order? No, because the guy at one point was leading the league in RBI. It's going to be okay, people.
Do you know how many teams in football have a roster they look at right now and their fan base wants to throw up? Do you know how many teams know they don't have a chance right now? You can look at one position for half the teams in football, quarterback, and know that you have no earthly chance of competing for a championship. And we're going to worry about what? The Eagles having a talented roster, but maybe something goes wrong? No, I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, look at teams like Seattle who have a lot of offensive talent. Respectfully, Geno Smith's never going to win a Super Bowl.
Write him off. He's not going to write back.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they gave Baker Mayfield a lot of money. And I know he puts up numbers, but does Baker Mayfield scream Super Bowl winning quarterback to you?
Nah, he sounds like a good first-round playoff quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Good enough to beat a team that was in shambles with a 1-6 stretch going into the playoffs. The Eagles, we think, have that with Jalen Hurts, where they do have a good quarterback that can legitimately win.
We've seen enough Phillies baseball this year to know what they're supposed to look like and what they're capable of looking like. That start to the season was not an anomaly. That's who they are. I then look at what weird has happened with this team over the past, 2 weeks. And they traveled internationally and had 3 days off in 5 days.
Yep.
That's a major change. Baseball players are creatures of habit more than any other sport because you play so often, you play so much.
It's June 14th. I could change my tune come week 1, but right now I have them losing the Packers, and part of it is because of what John pointed out. You have a very young secondary. You have a new defensive coordinator. You're leaving the country to go play. Now, the same thing goes for the Packers. So the Eagles, if the Eagles win, I'm not going to be shocked. We do the fun W's and L's. I have them losing week. Well, you have to throw in a couple losses here and there.
Yeah, just to
they're not going 17-0 and making a run through the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl. There's going to be losses during the regular season. This team will not be perfect, and I think that might be a tough start to the season with that team that they're going up against with the Green Bay Pack. But it doesn't mean I shouldn't sit back and go, damn, this secondary with experience as the season goes on, this secondary should be so much better than last year.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but the archetype for this kind of secondary is what Kansas City has done the past 2 years. And Kansas City did not start off like red hot each of the last 2 seasons because you have young defensive backs, you have some young wide receivers, you move on from Tyreek Hill. Like, they had to rebuild stuff, and they trusted the roster, and they trusted the talent, and trusted that they had time to figure it out. Now, you don't have a lot of time in the NFL, but
no,
that's proven that you can learn on the fly and win.
Jalen Hurts was a runner-up for MVP and got to a Super Bowl. I still don't know how Justin Herbert is the 4th highest paid quarterback in the NFL when he amounted to nothing. Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence have both done the same things in their career.
Yeah.
Underachieved, and yet they are getting paid all this money. Now, I'm glad that it's a problem that we don't have to deal with. At least we think. We have to see if Jalen Hurts can return to form 2 years ago, but Jalen Hurts at least got paid for having an incredible season. Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert have never had incredible seasons that should have amounted this contract. The only reason why they got paid is based off a prototype.
100%.
That's horrible.
It is, and this is why I think there are a lot of dumb NFL organizations out there. There are a lot. There might be more dumb than smart.
It is 9:50. That was the Key 3. And now it's time for our crossover. Bob Cooney not here today. Bob Cooney taking care of some family stuff. John out today. Everybody's taking vacation today. But you know who isn't? Me. You, Tom Alvord, and Bill Colarulo. What's up, Billy?
Yeah, I am back. I took my vacation last week, so I'm back for the rest of the summer.
How was it?
It was great, man.
Yeah.
It is. But I'm a creature of habit, so I'm happy to be home. That's just how I am.
Yeah, I don't know if I should bring it up on the air. I was told a story about you on your trip.
Oh.
About how you were like studying film or something.
Yeah, I was on the beach watching all the press conferences that the Eagles were giving.
Bro.
Yeah, I can't get away from it.
When I'm on vacation, I can't get away fast enough.
I can't get away
amazing,
from it.
Man.
I feel like I'm missing out, so I was listening, and then Bob made fun of me because I checked out the midday show a couple times because I heard they were talking trash. I had to check it
Okay,
out.
That's fair. If they're talking, I'll see it.
No, I wouldn't know it.
That's also fair.
My phone, I shut this thing off. Because there's me and Christy. So when we were in Jamaica in February, I let her do the FaceTiming of my parents to see Cooper.
Gotcha.
My thing was in the damn safe the entire time, phone off, no connection, do not disturb.
Yeah, the Cancun picture of me with the he knows it. You weren't around for it. There was a bad picture of me in a Hawaiian shirt, completely unbuttoned. I didn't even know till I came back. It was posted on the wall in there.
The sun was setting behind
It was a great
him.
picture. I look good. What, I can't look good in a picture? No, but glad you enjoyed your vacation. Your Saturday spot was kept nice and warm. I took like a billion calls of people saying, "Where's Bill? Why is Connor here?" So,
oh yeah, appreciate you covering for me, man.
People have been waiting to hear you again.
I'll be back tomorrow.
They missed you, but you're doing middays today. It's you, Amy, and Ray. What do we got on the program today?
So I'm excited for the show. We got Derek Gunn joining the show at 10:30. D-Gun does a great job, so haven't had a chance to talk to him about everything that unfolded with minicamp and really what Jalen Hurts had to say and didn't have to say about Nick Sirianni. That's what I want to talk to D-Gun about.
Yeah, so you were out during that.
I missed all that. That's why I'm watching the press conference from Aruba thinking, man, I got to get on the air to talk about this.
But what did you get out of it? I know you're about to do a show on it. Like, we did a whole show on it.
Yeah.
I thought it was telling. I don't want to totally overreact, but when he's now had multiple chances to have the back of his head coach, and everybody says, don't worry about it. The two of them don't need a good relationship. They should at least have a respectful relationship, and I don't know if Hurts not having his back is very respectful.
Look, I've supported Sirianni. We've had that battle before. I didn't like this at all because to me it was your media team is very good with the Eagles. You are prepped. You know what you're going to be asked. And the fact that Jalen Hurts couldn't find one thing positive to say in a softball question that was floated to him, it bothered me.
It was softball. And I asked Jeff McClain about that on Tuesday of earlier this week. And he said he did some digging and there's a thought that some people believe he misunderstood the question. Now, I would like to guess that the PR people would probably give that as an answer.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're trying to make it seem like everything's okay still.
It was such an easy question to just say, hey, he's committed to winning. It shows how much he's committed.
Yeah,
That's it.
It's
Done.
easy. I asked Connor to answer that exact same question, and it took you 3 seconds to come up with an answer.
And Jalen Hurts is not a dumb guy. He's an intelligent man. So that's why that bothered me. So we'll talk about it. I want to try to get D-Gun to tell me if he knows anything.
All right, so we got Bill, we got Amy, and we got Ray coming your way next at 10 o'clock with the midday show. Make sure you're listening. Connor, good job. Tommy, thank you for waking up bright and early or dark and early coming in today. We appreciate it.
Thought the sun would be out again. Wasn't out.
No, it is never out.
Is.
No matter what time of the year it is not out at 4 o'clock in the morning.
We'll try again next week.
We'll
next
try.
week. We'll
Everybody have a great freaking weekend. Have fun. Enjoy yourselves. The weather's supposed to be beautiful. Next week's supposed to be a scorcher. So enjoy the weekend now before you're going to be, hunkered down in your air conditioning. Everybody have a great rest of your day. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Remember, join our partners at Pumpman Philly and support life-saving cancer research with a donation to the AACR. Cancer research saves lives.
Don't want to forget that. Thank you very much, Connor. Everybody